to the Zoom Test Kitchen, where the magic happens live. Every Friday we're on air, testing tech to thrive. From screen share to breakout rooms, we push Zoom to its max. So sit back, relax, and let's see what's in our tech hacks. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. We'll dive into the settings, explore every single tab. Make sure your mic is clear, your camera not a drab. We'll show you how to host like a pro, manage like a king. With Zoom Test Kitchen, you'll be zooming with a zing. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. Whether you're new to Zoom or an expert in disguise, we've got tips and tricks. We'll open up your eyes. From polls to quizzes, we test functionalities. Join us live, see what Zoom does with ease. So if your meetings lag, or you can't share your screen, or if your audio echoes like you're stuck in between, we've got solutions, we'll show you how it's done. Zoom Test Kitchen, where Zoom fun has begun. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. So tune in, don't miss out on this tech fest we lead. Every Friday, Zoom Test Kitchen, where you'll succeed. We'll make your Zoom meeting smooth, keep the tech in check. In the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back, no wreck. So tune in, don't miss out on this tech fest we lead. Every Friday, Zoom Test Kitchen, where you'll succeed. We'll make your Zoom meeting smooth, keep the tech in check. In the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back, no wreck. These lyrics capture the essence of what the Zoom Test Kitchen does, focusing on testing and teaching about Zoom functionalities in a fun, engaging way. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. We've got your back, no wreck. We've got your back, no wreck. These lyrics capture the essence of what the Zoom Test Kitchen does, focusing on testing and teaching about Zoom functionalities in the fun, engaging way.
Hey, everybody. I actually found myself dancing along that time. It was kind of nice. Oh, my goodness. Oh, here comes Hazmak. People are loading up. John is here. Frank is here. John is here. Mike, Tony, how's everyone doing? Someone say hi to me.
Hello, sir.
Well, hello, sir. How you doing, Tony? Long time no see.
I'm good. Yes, it's been such a long time.
Such a long time. Hazmak is here. How you doing, Hazmak? He's getting his ears in. He's saying hello. Fantastic. I can't even wait. I cannot wait. We finally got the new chat. I opened up Zoom today and there it was. So let's take a look, shall we? I haven't even played with it yet. I literally didn't. So when I did, though, take a screenshot of what it looked like when I first opened it up. So let me pull that up for you. Give me a moment. I'm sorry. Too many things on my screen. Desktop, screenshot, And I deleted it. Okay. I guess it wasn't that important. Sorry, Herm. But here's what it looks like. Me. Okay. So in the past, there was I don't even remember, there was a picker down here. Actually, I can open up, let me open up the old Zoom. Oh, actually, I may not have the old Zoom here. Because it wasn't an update, it was on the back end. It was a switch that they just turned. But you know what I can show you? I can show it to you this way. Here we go. So where'd it go? Here it is. All right. Bear with me. I apologize, everyone. Okay. So here is, get out of this. This is the old chat. Oh, and you can see now, oh no, this is chat with companion. But the old chat was the two, and then you got to choose who you wanted to send it to down here, right? In the new chat, you don't have that anymore. So when you type down here, it's by default to everyone. It goes to everyone. Thank you, John. If you now want to send a message to a particular person, you now have to click up, or to a group, as it were. You now have to come up here and click on this new blue button. And from here, you can choose who you want to send to. So if I want to send Frank a message, boom, I could send him a message. But I can also now choose multiple people. And I can give it a topic name. This is new. And now I can say, I love the new chat. Now let's see what this looks like. So now I've done that. This is interesting. So this is a little bit like the way they implemented the new screen share, right? When you have the screen share, you have it's a tabbed interface at the top. So this is sort of like that tabbed interface. It looks like, right? So John just sent me a private message. This is the new chat that I started. This is new, and this is the main chat. So they're not all in one feed. You actually have to toggle between the 3 different feeds, which is really interesting. John, go for it.
This is a major usability step forward for me, because if I have to have, take for instance, last night I'm on Toastmasters, so we're running a meeting. There's lots of side chats to make sure the meeting is working, and little whispers, so to speak, to make sure everything's working. In the old system, if you wanted to find a thread of somebody's conversation, you're going to have to scroll up and down to try and find it. But now you've got each of the people that you're having messages with, or groups you're having messages with. You click on them and you're straight into those messages. For me, it's a great benefit.
It's interesting, John. I didn't even think about that piece of it. That not only can you now have you can chat separately with multiple people in the same chat, but you're right. Now all those individual chats are also broken out. So it's not just one long feed of chat. It's lots of individual threads. I wonder how this will be relayed, how this will manifest in the chat history. That's interesting. Frank, what's up?
I'm going to be the contrarian as usual. There's a lot of people in the Zoom community complaining about this tab chat arrangement, saying that if they're the host and they've got 100 people in the meeting and they get a lot of chats during the meeting, they now have to click on each one of these chats to see what's in it. Before, it was a unified chat and they could scroll, and during the scrolling section you would see whose name was next to the comment. So I'm going to live with it for a while, but I know there's a lot of angry people.
It's actually a really good point, right? If you've got a meeting, or I assume this is true in webinar also, of 1,000 people or 100 people, and you're the tech support, and they are, and people are sending you each their own individual messages, you're going to have, I wonder, what does it look like? Can someone, John, can you send me another private message in the chat that you started with me? I just want to see what the interface looks like. And then maybe someone either, okay, so I get the little indicator there. And then Frank, can you send me a message in the This Is New chat? And
The
your
saved chat looks about the same, by the way.
Say again?
The saved chat text looks like the traditional.
But is it all of it, or are they broken out?
No, it's all of it.
All right, so Frank, you just sent me a private message.
Was I not supposed to?
Well, no, I was looking in the This Is New, but who's in the This Is New? Maybe. Oh yeah, it's. So here's something. So do you see the This Is New group chat, Frank? Yes. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I was just doing it. Sorry.
No. So you were asking, where is this new chat? So interestingly, when I made this group chat, I really should rename it. Can you rename it? I'd really like to. Let me see if I can rename it, because that's a terrible name. Yes. Okay. First group chat. I added you to this, but apparently you don't have it yet for some reason. So it just showed up for me. I didn't do anything. Frank, I don't know, maybe you know if there's a setting or something.
I don't know. This is new for me. Through what you just demonstrated, I'm thinking maybe this isn't so bad if you just create one group chat and do a little meeting etiquette and say, general comments go in the group chat and private chats. It's just going to be hard if you're the organizer or the host and people aren't very good with Zoom to have to keep reinforcing that there's a group chat for everyone and there's separate chats.
No, but you can't. That's not how it doesn't look.
Oh, okay. It doesn't work that way.
So you can't. No one else. So you and I have a chat going on called First Group. No one else can see that, and people can't just join that.
Okay. I sorry, I misunderstood then. Then
No.
Then it may be a problem for people.
Right. So I'm going to start a new. Oh wait, I just found a bug. Or maybe I didn't. Well, hold on. I've got one. All right, here are all my chats. Now I want to make a new one. Oh, there we go. That's interesting. I don't know why I didn't. So I'm going to make a second. Let me make another one now with John, with the two Johns. And we'll call a second group chat. Oh, you don't have to save or anything. Okay. This is the second group chat. So now that I'm in that, you don't see that, Frank. You only see first group and any private messages. And
I didn't see it until you actually put a message in it.
Right.
So when you created the group, I didn't see it. When you actually put a message in it, then it appeared in my list.
Right. But I do love where you were going, Frank. I just don't know.
Is there a main chat though that everyone can see? Is it main chat? Like, does everyone see what's posted in there?
Chat is main chat.
Yeah. Main chat is called main chat.
All right. Well, that's
surprisingly
accurate.
Yeah, they ran out of ideas, obviously, at that point.
There is no longer a chat with hosts and co-hosts. That's gone. And to accomplish what you wanted to do, Frank, what you could do is create a new chat, literally add everyone to it. Right. So I just added everyone in this meeting to this chat, and this is tech support. And what we can say is put your tech support questions here. So now I've got basically a main chat and a tech support chat. But if you've got 100 people, there's no way you can add them all.
Can other people join the tech support chat and see what's posted in it, or is it private between you and the person who communicated?
It looks to me like it's private between.
No, it's not.
Well, how do you access it?
Well, because I can click on the tech support and I can add other people as well.
Are you a host or co-host? Or are you just a regular
I'm just a regular guy.
No, but
I'm learning it live with you guys, so I'm just trying to understand how it works.
John, you can add people.
Yeah, I just added. Well, you said, is it private? And I said it's not private because you can add other people.
Right, but what I'm saying is
it's private to those people that are named in that group. Yes,
right.
But it's not locked down to you. You have control over it. and
Correct.
no one else can
So
do
if
stuff.
you're not in the group, you don't see it.
Yeah.
But anybody in the group can invite you to the group. So it doesn't really solve the problem. I mean, if you have 4 co-hosts, then yeah, and you have 100 people, then everyone can add 25 people, and then you can add a tech support channel. But this isn't a channel, this is a chat. And I think that's the difference.
Now, why was I allowed to, since you did not invite, or did you invite me?
I invited everyone in the group to the tech support chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So getting back to your question, it was just pushed out. Someone saw, I saw in the Discord, someone saw it yesterday, which I did, but then again, I didn't check. Someone saw it today. I don't think there's anything you have to do. I think this is just the new chat UI.
It's on by default, but
Yeah.
I also went looking for release note, like for support documentation. There is none. I really, really wish Zoom would not put out new features without the corresponding support pages.
Yeah. Yep. And now from here, what are my options? So my options are rename chat, add members, remove members, or delete chat. So that I actually like what just happened there. So when I delete a chat, it defaults me back to the main chat. What can I do with an individual chat?
Okay, that's interesting. So in the tech support, you said you can add members, remove members.
Yeah.
Okay, so the tech support chat that was created by you, you've got the ability to add and remove people.
Yeah.
The tech support chat that you got me to join, I can add other members and I can leave it. I can't do the other functions. So
You
I can't remove
remove
members from the group that you've created.
Interesting. That's an interesting choice to allow people to people that didn't start the chat to add. I mean, it would be nice to be able to lock down the chat. That would be a nice little feature. But it would also be nice to have channels the way Frank, so you could say, hey, this is a tech support channel.
I just tried something. I wanted to add members to one of the chats, and it gives you a list of people. I tried on a Mac, Command A is select all. I tried to add everyone at once because there's no everyone feature, and it wouldn't let me do it. So if I had 100 people and I wanted to add everybody, I'd have to go one by one by one by one.
Exactly.
Right.
That's
That's
not
not
release
good.
that API quick, Frank, so I can
Scoop.
put a program in.
Yeah. Why isn't there an everyone? Why isn't everyone the first?
Because everyone's in the main chat.
Exactly. Right. Because they're not thinking about it for.
All right. I don't know. It's just
Again,
weird. I
right?
just have to get used to it. It's new and I don't understand
They're
it yet.
programmers. They're going to have
They're not
only going to have
thinking about
logical
them
answers.
as channels or subjects, or they're thinking about it as separate group chats.
I saw people saying they were gonna cancel their Zoom memberships due to this UI change.
Come on.
Like a lot of people were incensed about this.
Well, you know what?
But if you don't like it, surely you just don't use it.
Well, I think with anything new, people haven't figured out how to use it yet. It's probably fantastic. I don't know how to use it yet, right?
I think the main issue is really what you highlighted, though, Frank. This idea that if you've got 100 people and they're all messaging you, you're going to end up with 100 different panels that you need to keep switching between.
The other thing, I don't know how this works, but the way it used to work is because you had a unified chat panel and you could see all the messages that anyone sent you during the meeting, at the end you could save it. How will you save it? Do you have to save each of these individually?
Well, that's what I was asking. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure how the chat.
No, it's just one feed. Just one feed.
It'll be one unified synopsis or whatever.
Yeah, if you do save chat, it looks exactly the same as it used to look. So they've not done any work on that. There's another little button. I don't know if you noticed at the very bottom when you've got the text and the smiley faces and the files. There's a little umlaut, I think it's called, and it allows you to hide chat window in screenshot.
Huh? What? Whoa! Wait a second. What is that? What? Hide meeting window. Oh, if you're that's interesting. So the button here is a screenshot button, and if you want to do that, but you don't want the meeting window.
You don't want the chat window.
No, it's not chat window. It's the meeting window.
My one says hide chat window. What does yours say?
Mine says hide meeting window. That's so interesting.
Okay, we've got two different versions of software now. That's even more fascinating. Mine says hide chat window in screenshot.
I wonder if that has something to do with what screen the chat is on. Let me move it over here and see if this changes, because I pulled it off of my main screen. No. Meeting window. That's fascinating. Huh. So a chat came in on the main chat, and I'm just, again, just kind of learning this along with everyone. My initial thought was, ooh, I wish it would have automatically made this the active tab. So I don't have to, click. I don't have to physically. Right now, if I'm anywhere else, if I want to see that chat, I have to physically, unless does it still come up in the meeting window? I don't know. I never look at that.
Well, David, you'd have to be careful too, that if you're already reading in one group and all of a sudden you don't want to be disturbed, you would want every time a message goes into a different group for it to be flipping around.
No, that's right. So my initial thought was, ooh, I wanted to just pop me right over there. And then I immediately thought of exactly what you said, which is that if there are lots of people talking in lots of different groups, that's like, that will bring on an epileptic seizure. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I just think if you're the host and you've got a large amount of participants, this is going to be a lot to track.
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to host the meeting, and then at the same time, especially if you're presenting, and then at the same time, off to the side, you're getting all these red indicators, badges saying there's something that wants attention.
I wonder if there is a way to lock it down so that you can't have separate chats.
You could probably turn off the private chats.
Yeah, no, you know what it is? It's right here. It's if I turn off everyone and anyone directly, if I make it to just everyone, then I can still chat into groups, but you all should only be able to chat into the main chat at this point.
Right. And just to let everybody know, from the host tools, again, allow all participants to chat is still an option, but that would turn on and off chat entirely.
Right.
Can you see, as the host,
I can still send messages to people that are in groups that are already created. I cannot add any members to a group, and I can still create a group. So I don't know what you've done, but it doesn't work.
So I turned.
Hold on. This is weird. Okay, no, sorry. I apologize. It's a software bug. I can click on the add new chat, but I can't actually select anybody.
I have a question for you, David. As the host, can you see that I have a chat going with Mike?
No.
So the reason I asked this question is I was admin on another platform I won't mention, and it's used for education. And people were having back channel communications about the test and quizzes and stuff. And there was also other things going on, but things that the instructor would not want. And they weren't even aware it was happening. So you would have, this has to have the ability to be locked down so that private chats can't happen during proctoring or exams or something, right?
I mean, they could always do it, on their phone.
They could.
But you're right. Zoom just made it a lot easier.
Yeah. The only way to do that right now, Frank, that I'm seeing host tools wise would be to disable chat entirely.
I'm thinking on the back end in the web portal.
Well, no. That's not, hold on. Mike, that's not true. So right now, I don't think it's true. Right now, I have made it so that you can only chat with everyone. And
no, you haven't.
Yeah, I did.
No, you haven't. I believe you've stopped anybody from opening new personal chats. We are still running personal chats in the ones that we have created, and we're having conversations, and you haven't stopped us. But what you have stopped us doing is creating any new ones. So you'd have to enforce that before anybody created some personal channels.
Before anyone creates their own chat, you have to just before the meeting starts.
Or just disable it
before letting anybody in the meeting. Yeah.
The default state should be off by default, and the host should knowingly turn it on. Right. It should not be on by default. There's going to be a lot of hosts who have no idea this is happening or have an awareness. And for proctoring, for government exams, for different situations, this is going to be problematic even if there is a way to turn it off in the back end, if the people aren't aware enough, the default should be off, needs to be enabled.
Now, I'm not going to pick on you, David, but this is a PIM versus a generalized meeting scheduled, right? So
Yeah,
does that change things as a personal meeting room
I
as
wouldn't
compared
think so.
to?
I mean,
I'm
I
just
could be
throwing
wrong.
that out there.
I wouldn't think- Yeah, it's possible. It's definitely possible. Oh, Zoom redid their website again. Sorry, I was going on to check the settings, and I just noticed that Zoom has redone their website again, or at least their homepage. So I just turned on. I just changed the setting so that you can only. Right. So I just turned on. You can only chat with host and co-host. I did that. And just found out that she needed to update to 6.4.12 to have this. What am I on? 6.4 point. We did, yeah, 6.4.12. Interesting. All right, so you do have to be updated to have
That would
this.
make sense. They would have to make sure that the apps are all updated first, and then they would have to reorganize and update the database at the back for the chat data.
And so again, I kind of, I mean, I don't know. This really is going to get overwhelming after a while if you use a lot of chat. So I changed it back just so everyone knows. I changed it back to everyone and anyone directly. Chat saved. Let me open up the chat that I just saved and see what that looks like. So here's the chat. And well, let's see. So what it does is, it's very hard to see, I'm sorry. So it gives you, from David passing into group chat, second group chat. And then, so yeah, everything is in line, time-stamped, and then it just gives you a heads up as to where the actual message was sent. Go ahead, Frank. Frank, did you want to jump in? We can't hear you.
Sorry, I hit unmute, but I guess I didn't click it. I'm looking at it on the web portal as an admin, and hold on a second. Let's see if I can find this. All right, I'll just do it this way. Hold on. There we go. So here's the meeting chat, right? First of all, it's allowed. People can have meeting chats. By default, allow participants to chat with everyone and anyone directly seems very powerful. So you could say no one. That's not going to meet most people's needs. Host and co-host, that's not going to meet most people's needs. So the distinction seems to be between everyone and anyone directly. I'm just wondering what the nuances between these two are. If everyone is more traditional to what we had before the upgrade, and this new everyone and anyone directly turns on the ability to have the private chats, maybe everyone.
No, so that's what John and I were just doing. So
Yeah.
if you have it set to everyone, then there's one channel, everyone can chat to everyone. That's it. No private messages.
But why? What I'm not seeing granularity for here is, I have to check my personal account, but it would be nice to say this is unlocked, and then in your personal settings, like I would make the default everyone, but keep it unlocked. And then as the meeting host, as a regular user, not an admin, I could go into my personal settings and make the determination if I want the traditional style or this new style.
Right.
And I need to check that next and see if that's how it's going to work.
So I'm back here on my settings. I don't see anything other than the same controls that we have inside the meeting. So anyone directly. And I actually remember when we first saw this in the release notes, one of the things that it said is that you have to have, in order for this new group chat to work, you have to be set to everyone or anyone directly.
Can you just, like, sorry, I'm ignorant. Can you turn it on in the host controls or turn it off in the host controls per meeting occasion?
Yes. So if you look over here I'll bring up, so this is the meeting that we're in. This is my chat window. And if I come up here, this is what I was doing before, I can choose right here. So as soon as I turn this off, as soon as I put it to everyone, this is what John just confirmed. What happened is now, any group chats or private chats that exist, you can continue to chat in, but you cannot create new ones.
Yeah, I recall you saying that. But do you know what the default was when the meeting started? Was it everyone or everyone and anyone?
Everyone and anyone, yes.
Which one was the default?
It was everyone and anyone.
That, to me, that's a big problem for my use case and probably thousands of other institutions.
But I think it was that way, Frank. I think because in my back end, that's how I have it set up. So I have a feeling if I go into my back end and I change it to just everyone or whatever, then I can probably toggle it on during the meeting.
But what I'm saying is, as the host, I set the initial, as the admin of the account, I set the initial state, and then I allow users to consciously override the initial state. I would initially set it as the just everyone, which we're all familiar with. And I would make that the default, but it doesn't seem like there's a way to make that the default for all the accounts.
For all the accounts in your org, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, let's go down and can Mike, can you let Roland in?
I did. He's having problems joining.
Okay.
And the reason I would want it this way is because not everyone pays attention to how Zoom works or the updates.
It's available in the advanced admin, Frank. It is there at the bottom.
So here's, so right here, by default, allow participants to chat with.
By default, yeah.
Right, so you can check
everyone.
And then when you do that, you lock it for your org.
All right, I'm about to do that.
Yeah.
But the question is, does that lock it? And you can't unlock it in individual cases or not.
Meeting chat.
No, so this is just by default. So if I had to guess, well, hold on. I'm going to actually try it. So I'm in a different account over here. So I'm going to change this. Well, actually, I don't need to do it there. I'll do it up here in my personal. It'll have the same effect. Chat. So I'm going to change this to everyone and save. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a meeting from this separate account. Let me change. How do I log out? Here we go. Switch accounts.
Yeah, it worked. I did it.
And you can, so once you.
I made the global organization default everyone. When I went to my personal settings, it was everyone, and I still have the freedom to change it to everyone and anyone, which that is a distinct choice that a person can make about their own settings. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with people making distinct choices. I have a problem when the default setting is too permissive and the host doesn't know that the settings are too permissive.
Right. So you'd have to make that change on the back end in order for that for it to work the way you just described.
I just did.
Yep.
Now, Frank, just to confirm, that was now previous to this setting, it was set up as you have it now as everyone, or did they?
It was defaulting to everyone and anyone, and then because that's the global account settings, my personal account inherited that global setting as the default, which is not what I want. I want users to think about why they want to turn this on and be aware that they're turning it on, so it's not too permissive without their knowledge, and they take a determined action that they're conscious of.
Now here's a quick question to that as a follow-up, Frank. So what was it previous to this latest update within the?
It was just everyone.
It was just everyone.
And yeah, but everyone in the organization understood how that worked and could still control that. but they didn't. No one's had, like, I doubt 2% of the people in my organization know or understand that everyone and anyone is a change that Zoom implemented, and it affected their accounts.
I think it did say everyone and anyone before. I think that here I can pull it up because I'm on an old. I'm on what do you call it? So yeah, so this is. So here it's a little different. So check this out. Ba-ba-dum-ba-dum. So in the old version, it was no one, host and co-host, everyone, and then it was everyone and anyone directly.
Right.
Now it's everyone and anyone. So there's a subtle change there. But I'll be honest with you, if I wasn't made aware of it, I wouldn't notice the difference. I would, in the terminology, I would just see the difference in the behavior, which is a bit of a problem. I think that ChatGPT may have been hallucinating. I don't think there is a toggle that says new meeting chat experience.
There's classic chat, and there's the current version of chat that this has been a thing for 2 years. And you, at least on enterprise, I can allow people to use classic chat, or the new chat experience is what it's called. That wasn't new, 2 years old, but there's many functions in the classic chat that don't work, don't exist, like formatting, screenshots, a whole bunch of things, right?
Where's classic chat? How would you even?
Hold on, chat.
I mean, there's classic whiteboard versus the new.
Yeah,
whiteboard.
they don't. I don't think they call it classic chat.
Because there's searching a quick search of settings doesn't bring
Meeting chat. Well, maybe they've done away with it, but
yeah,
it was going to be sunsetted. Like they said, eventually classic chat would just stop functioning.
Oh.
They were going to turn it off at some point.
Interesting.
Classic chat didn't have text formatting. It didn't have
right. I remember.
hyperlinks. It didn't have all kinds of things.
Yeah. John, go for it.
I don't know if this is a bug, a feature, or design, but we're in a case at the moment, I believe, where you've disabled us from having private chats.
Did I? I don't think I did. Oh yeah, I did. Sorry.
Okay, so my case at the moment is I can. No, that's okay. No, leave it like that, because I'm going to give you the outcome of that. The outcome is I can talk on the main chat, obviously. I can't talk on your private chat with you. I can't chat on the tech support group that you set up.
Oh,
I can't chat on the second group that you chat up. But I can chat to Mike, where we set up a private chat, and I can chat to Frank. And I can't chat to Frank, where he is disabled. So Mike, as co-host, has still got the ability to have a private chat with me.
Yeah, and I was also able to, because I was concerned about Roland connecting, I set up a private chat with him to find out what his issue was, because he was having problems joining.
Wait, that's fascinating, John. So, okay. So when I lock it down, when I change it to everyone, you cannot continue those private or small group chats unless you're in one of them with a co-host. Mike, do me a favor.
Sure.
Create a small group with John and me or whoever. I want to see so I have my settings now set to everyone, which should mean that normal people who aren't co-hosts cannot create. Can you create a group chat, Mike? As a co-host?
Sorry. As a co-host right now, I can, let me see here now. So if I try to, with the tech support one, I can add members and I can leave that.
Try and create a new one. Click the blue square at the top.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. And I will add you and Frank and.
Actually, you know what? Don't add me, because I'm host, and that'll screw it up maybe.
All right. So I'll go Frank and John.
Great.
Drink water. And I'll make this David's request.
So that's it. Must be that if there's a host or co-host in the chat, then that chat is still active.
And there you go.
So
John and Frank, did you see that?
Yeah, but I can't respond.
you can't respond.
That's why I said I don't know if this is a bug or a feature.
But you could respond to which one?
I can still respond to the private chat I have with Mike. So Mike opened up with one with me. I can still private message him back to him. Frank opened up one with me. I can't chat back to him. And the one that's just been set up by Mike, I can't chat in.
Mike, set up one more, or actually, you know what? Let me try it. So I'm gonna do a new chat with just John, and hi there. Now, can you respond to that?
He's trying.
Did he freeze? Oh,
No, he's there.
No, I was trying to find it.
Yes. Okay. So, well, by the way, there's a having to try to find something is not a good sign. But for this new chat experience,
I should have just looked for the one that had the red number 1 against it too.
Okay.
That would have been more intelligent.
So private chats with a host or co-host, when there's only you and the host or co-host, those persist. Those still work. Group chats with a host or co-host don't work. And personal chats without a host or co-host don't work. Wow, that's convoluted. I mean, I understand the thinking. I do understand the thinking. But can you, can someone message me privately now? Does anyone have the ability to message me as host privately?
I will not as co-host. Yeah, I would prefer it to be one of the panelists.
Well, I can't start a private chat with you, but then I already have a chat with you.
Now,
I don't know if
what
that
if I say-
disables me.
All right, so now I changed it to host and co-host. So now can anyone message me?
I can message you because you're the host, but I can't message other people says chat disabled.
No. But you and I already had a chat going together. So let's do someone else.
Okay.
Tony, can you message me?
Chat is disabled for me.
Right.
Can you press the blue button, Tony? The blue button at the top left, new chat.
Okay.
And you should see a list of the hosts and co-hosts.
Yes.
Can you select them?
So Hasmic just messaged me. Okay. So when you have it set now, he messaged me. Mike, did you get a message? Did you get the message from Hasmic?
Oh, did not.
Okay, so this is another change because in the past, when you messaged host and co-hosts, it went to all of the hosts and co-hosts. Now, if I set my meeting up for hosts and co-hosts, the users can select, I assume, which host or which co-host to send it to.
Yep.
Which, to be honest, I actually appreciate that more.
No,
because
I like that too.
Because there are times where this actually would be nice too. And John, you'll have to help me on this on webinar side. This would actually be nice to be able to do to the host of the webinar as well as the panelists on the webinar.
This would make one thing which I've been working on and people have been talking about a long while, which is be able to create subgroups so you can do things in subgroups. This is a good way to start having a few subgroups. I can't chat with you directly, David. I can't start a new chat with you directly because I already have a chat with you directly.
Oh, right.
So it makes sense for me not to be able to do that again. And I can't talk to Mike because again, I have one already selected.
Right, but John,
I have the options there. They're just grayed out because I've already got a conversation going with you two.
I'm not able to I typed a message, but I'm not able to send it to David.
So wait a second. Let me just back up for a second. So what you were just saying, John, when I type, so I have a I have a chat thread with and by the way, you're being so patient. I'm sorry. We're coming, I promise. I have a chat thing with right now. So if I forget that or I can't find it up here, we really do need a search bar up here, I think. Is there a search bar? No, there's not. But if I click on then what it does is it just defaults me right back into this chat. What it doesn't do.
There is a search.
Hold on a second. So this is interesting. Look at this. This is sort of a mistake, I think. If I forget that that I have a chat with her, if I click here, I can just chat with her. But if I forget that and I click new, which honestly, that's the way I'm going to use this. I'm not going to be searching for people's names. I can now chat with her and it looks like I'm still in a new chat, but I'm not. I'm in this chat over here, but it doesn't switch to over there until I do that. Until I actually...
Because it doesn't know if you're going to have a new group until you do that.
Right.
You set one person, so you've chosen one person, but you haven't. You see, you could choose some more people before you send the message.
But I've already clicked down here. I mean, I see what you're saying. That does make sense. That's an interesting. But I don't see a search.
Yeah, it's up there. It's just above where the names are.
Just above where the names are? No, that's search by name for someone to.
No, if you type a name in there, it will change the search. It will change your drop-down menu.
No, I understand that. What I'm talking about is I want to be able to search these up here. If I've got 100
I see.
Here, and again, if I search there, it does bring me into Erm's chat, but it's not clear that I'm there yet. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. Oh, Tony found his chat.
Yeah, that is a lot to have to, you got to click and look at the chat instead of, one long chat just coming at you from private and everyone. Seems so much easier. But anyway, what I was going to say is I never saw previous to this a hosts and co-hosts only like as a group before. So maybe I don't use webinar a lot. So if it's in webinar, then I wouldn't have noticed it. But in meetings,
it's been in meetings. It's not a group though. It's a setting. You could choose it. Actually, let me show you real quick, So let me open up chat and let me take this off. Okay. So here's the chat. This is the old chat and you had everyone.
Yep.
Wait a second. Sorry. Wait a second. I'm so confused.
Isn't it in participants? In the settings for participants?
No, it's in the chat settings.
No, you know what it is? It's
there. So
that's the new way though, right?
No,
is this the new one or the old one? That's the old one. And so hosts and co-hosts, I always experienced as I thought it was a group, but you still had to go in and it was a one-to-one to hosts and co-hosts. Those were your only options, but it was always a one-to-one private message.
I'm so confused. Maybe I was wrong when I said that.
Yeah, I don't think that ever existed.
In the host settings, you could allow people to talk to hosts and co-hosts, or everybody privately.
Right, but hosts and co-hosts was still a one-to-one message, is what I'm saying, right?
It was a one-to-one message to the hosts and co-hosts. Yes.
Yeah.
And if you were in webinar, you then had the option of panelists, and you could send a message to all the panelists automatically.
Right.
Okay. Hold on.
David, what I wanted to ask you was, do you mind adding me to one of the group chats? Because I don't think I'm going to be able to reply because I haven't installed the newest version. So I'm like, well, where does that leave a participant who isn't up to right?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I just unco-hosted this account over here. I was completely wrong about and I apologize. I thought that before it went to all of the co-hosts and hosts. I apologize for that.
That's okay.
David, well, again, when Hasma sent it to host and co-host, Hasma, I guess the best way to answer this is, did you send it did you just choose David? Did he give you a choice of just David and I, or did he just give you a host and co-host question? And it sent
No,
it.
I sent it to David.
So there you go, Dave.
Yeah. Okay. So now, so now I'm going to add you to a group. I've got second group here, but I don't think it's going to let me add you actually. That's the thing.
Because I haven't updated.
Right. Yeah.
It
So if
won't
I
know.
go to second group and I want to add people.
David, will you still see your old screen?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, it does. I mean, it lets me select you. So I selected you, but it doesn't add you.
So another limitation, in order to use this, everybody has to be updated, right?
Right.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to test that. Thank you.
And so this to me is a real UI flaw, right? So here I've created a group. I've gone in here. So here again, just you can see here are the 3 people in my group. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to add Click add. It looks like she was added. Now I'm going to continue talking. Hey, but she's not in the group because she hasn't updated.
Right, David. And also, but you're able to do a one-on-one chat with her because that's still the older client functionality.
Right. We can't go one-to-one. Exactly. Yeah. But that there needs to be some sort of pop-up or something that says you can't add, or I shouldn't be able to select her. Yeah, Frank, go ahead.
Just to help the way Zoom normally does these things is if it's critical enough, when you try to join someone's meeting, it'll warn you can't join without doing an update. If Zoom determines it's critical, it'll say you can't join the meeting without updating before you join the meeting. Or what they do quite often is if the host is using a new ability and you're on an old version, you can't take advantage of certain functions of the new ability. And one other wrinkle is, let's say you have installed the new update, but you're not the host and the host is on the old one, then quite often those abilities don't happen during that meeting because the host of the meeting hasn't updated their software. So that's typical of all Zoom updates.
But you know what the problem is, Frank?
Thank you.
Is that I don't think any of that is true with this.
Okay. They certainly didn't force her to update because she's in the meeting, not updated, right?
That's exactly the point. It didn't force her to update. It looks like she can be added to a group.
Yeah.
When she actually can't.
Yeah, I think what's happening is, from a software point of view, it's adding her, sending the message to her to say she's added, and that message is failing because her end isn't updated, and the operation is effectively crashed in the background, and you can't see it.
Hold on, did you get a message that said you were added? No, she didn't.
No, her app got a message saying she's being added, and her app went, "Don't know what you're talking about."
Gotcha.
And it didn't carry on.
Gotcha. Wow, this is.
We'd all like to publicly say, "We love you, and we're terribly sorry we can't see any of the messages."
I just want to say that when I finally resolved my issue with Zoom and they escalated it and somebody hopped on a Zoom with me to resolve it, I was shocked to hear his words, which were, "We really don't have a quality control. You all testing things out is basically how it works." And I was like, "Oh,
I'm not sure
okay.
that's accurate.
Well, I was like, come on, that cannot be true." But
it's tested to a certain level.
Yeah, with this scenario, I might believe that because it seems like a hot mess. But anyway,
I just think it's interesting when Zoom determines, I'd like to hear the criteria from Zoom of you can't join the meeting at all unless you upgrade, or you can join the meeting, but you're not going to get all the functions. Who makes that decision and how do they figure that out? Because this almost seems fundamental enough that you would want to force people to do the update before they join the meeting.
Yeah. Go ahead, John.
Don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to say it anyhow. I'll probably get told off. There are many departments in Zoom, as we've talked about before. And when it comes to these sort of issues, it is very often that department that makes the decision. There is no overall overarching person that signs off these things, because I don't think there's anybody in Zoom who actually has the time or the brain power to be able to understand every single part of Zoom, because it's just too big now. So there is no overarching. So from that point of view of quality control, there isn't some overarching quality control department that can keep their hands on this anymore, because it's just too big. But each division has its own little quality box which it tries to tick off. And I can give you an example from the developer space where this silo has caused a small little issue. There are some functions that you can do to get messages about phone calls. And you can get your own personal phone calls, but there are rules about whether you can get access to other people's phone calls. And some of the functions are available because somebody thought it was okay. And some of them aren't available because somebody else thought they should be restricted. And now there's a conversation going on in Zoom to say, which of these two sides are we going to take for the product going forward? It's amazing sometimes how good this product is, considering now how diverse it is as an app. And as I live in the middle of it now as one of the developers, I'm in awe. And unfortunately, I'm frankly not surprised when we get these little niggling issues. But as Frank says, they've got to be careful whenever they roll out these things that they don't just break the entire system for lots of people. So it's very much a tightrope you walk when you keep adding these new features.
Yeah, absolutely. And more than just breaking things, I think they have to also be really conscious about confusion that may be caused. That we are all, we'll survive. I mean, this is it's not the end of the world. We'll figure it out, but it's a bit of a shock to the system when things like this change. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, based on this experience that I've had today in Zoom Test Kitchen, I'm just wondering, is it time for Zoom Test Kitchen to possibly do a basic feature review in terms of what it is now from the last time, we had kind of done that? And the reason I'm asking is because I think that there are people like me who are a little bit overwhelmed with, some of the new features. And I just want to know if you guys think that's a good idea in terms of us, kind of.
Can I tell you, Tony? What you just said, I wouldn't even know where to begin.
I don't think it's feasible.
Say again?
It's not feasible to do all of Zoom. There's too much. I think you could highlight something per episode, or you could say, submit your questions in advance, and we'd be happy to, do 5 minutes on each topic. We'll just have 14-hour Zoom sessions on how to use Zoom. I just think there's too much. I think you could do, a 2-hour workshop on how to use basic Zoom, but you still wouldn't cover intermediate and advanced at that point. Okay. And there's so many configurations because Zoom's so flexible, because people use it in so many different ways. I mean, I don't know where you would start, like you said.
Yeah. I'm really sort of speaking to like basic users, and I'll give you an example. So in the house of worship that I'm with, there's probably maybe 2 other people like me who, as soon as Zoom puts something out, we update. But there are probably 5 or 6 other people who are part of the worship service. They don't touch it because they're afraid. And so whatever they have is what they use, and they're not trying to update. And so to me, it kind of I'm kind of like, well, do I need to stop updating, or should I use a specific? Because I have a couple of Zoom accounts. Do I use my basic Zoom account when I'm dealing with them, or what? I'm just a little bit kind of like, what's the best answer?
What I would say about that is a couple of things. One is it's a lot easier to manage this if everyone's part of the same Zoom organization, because generally speaking, the Zoom organization will have a Zoom administrator or owner who can decide what features are going to be turned on or off for every single user in the organization. That becomes a lot harder if you pay for your license and someone in your group pays for their own license, because now you're all admins and you're turning on different things and turning off different things. Having it all centralized makes it easier because there's one person with a vision. The second thing I would say is there are products that are less confusing than Zoom, but they're not as flexible, like Google Meet. There's not as many options to deal with, so you can't do as many things, but you also don't have as many things to worry about or learn. The third thing I would say is Zoom has a lot of support and training materials on their support site. They have the Zoom community. They have the Zoom Learning Center that has text and videos, and they also have other places where you can get information. But that all requires that a person's willing to dive in and learn. But I mean, it's just like any other piece of software. I can't teach your whole Congress or whatever how to use Word, at an advanced level if they're not willing to spend a couple hours every week learning Zoom. Usually the people who put that kind of commitment are people who are using it for business or for teaching or for other professional reasons. And if you're just using it as a hobbyist, it depends how excited you are to learn Zoom. And I bet a lot of people that you're talking about aren't going to put in a couple hours of homework every week learning this stuff, right?
You're right. But they are pro Zoom, so they don't want to use anything else. They're very happy with Zoom. And to be frank, most of them are probably coming in using the Zoom web browser and not even using the Zoom app. Now, I've encouraged them years ago I thought everybody should have at least one free account, but
So there's one other thing about Zoom. It's not true for the browser, but it's definitely true for the Zoom desktop application. Zoom has a global policy that you can't be 9 months out of date of your Zoom application with the current release version. So every 9 months, Zoom's going to force you to update whether you want to or not, because they don't want to support 75 iterations of Zoom. They want to support a 9-month window of iterations of Zoom.
thank you.
Great question, though. It's so overwhelming. And the other thing, I've thought, Tony, about making videos, and then by the time I get around to making a tutorial, it's changed. So
it's also sort of like scaffolding, like jogging or something. You don't get off your couch and go for a 20K jog the first day. If you jog a little bit every week, if you Zoom a little bit every week, and then you get accustomed to the basic features, and then you go, okay, this week I'm going to try something I haven't tried before, and you keep at it for weeks and weeks and months, then you will build up these skills, but it takes a personal commitment.
Yep.
Can I turn the question around just a little bit?
Go for it.
Based on where we are, there seems to be a bit of apathy in terms of general public, in terms of any interest in experiencing Zoom, when they think that they are actually good on Zoom and they're not. Is there something that we can do? I know we do this every Friday, and it's amazing, but all of us have an interest in being here and getting better, and struggling to figure out the new stuff. But for a regular everyday person who may do a Zoom 3 or 4 times a month, is there anything that we can do to encourage them to say, hey, you might want to just tweak it a little bit?
You got us speechless, Tony.
I
Go
don't know.
ahead,
Chinese,
I mean,
Chinese.
The short
water
answer is
torture.
no.
look, people work on things that are important to them, and if this isn't important to them, then they're not gonna. By the way, John. I'm gonna throw it to you. I just want to say, Tom, you shouldn't need co-host. I'm happy to make you co-host, but you shouldn't need it to test Zoom ISO. That was something that changed in Zoom ISO. I'm happy to give it to you, but you shouldn't need it. Sorry, John. Go ahead.
I pass on tips on a regular basis when I'm in various Zoom meetings, and there are a following of people, groups I belong to, who are picking up the odd tip here and there. But they'll never sit down and listen to, even if I created a video for them, they're never going to sit down and listen to it. What they want is they will just trundle through, as my ex used to say, I love that word, trundle through their lives using Zoom, using the same version of Zoom in their heads that they first got when COVID first put them into the world of Zoom. And they're not going to change until somebody pops up and goes, look, if you click that button, this happens. And they go, oh, that's really cool. And they've now moved their world forward by one step. And then maybe 3 months later, they'll try and do something, they'll complain, and then they'll say, oh, I can't do so and so. And then some clever dick will say, actually, you can, because Zoom has changed since then. You do this and it works. And they will then learn that one little tip and they will go on. But they will still stay, I don't want to use the word ignorant because that's not really the right thing. They will be oblivious of all the other features that are available in Zoom until they have a problem that somebody else can fix with it. And that's, I believe, my fellow community champions can say, that is pretty much the way the community works as well. That people come into the community forums and a good number of them ask the things that you can answer in a half a second, that it's been there the whole time, they've never looked properly. They put the question in the forum, give them the answer, they go off and they're happy. But yeah, this is probably the most frustrating to when we get to the big stuff, Zoom events and Zoom sessions. There is a ridiculous amount of stuff in there that people say, oh, I can't change the email message. Well, you can. We had an update 6 months ago that allows that. Oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. So it is a very big app. It takes a lot of time to learn it, and no one's ever going to sit down and learn it all. But hopefully we can drip a few things that makes life better for people as they go. But yeah, there's nobody sitting down. Although I do videos, but again, I only do videos to solve a particular problem for a particular group of people. And my churches are not online, so I'm afraid it's over to you, Tony.
Well, my church is not going to be online much longer. They say they want to be hybrid, but they're not putting in the work, I believe, to be hybrid. So we'll see.
Just imagine if you had a car, David.
What did you say?
Just imagine you had a car and you didn't know there was a button that made the windows go up and down on the passenger side when you're driving.
Yeah.
And you've been leaning over all this time trying to close the window on the other side of the car when you didn't know there was a button there all the time waiting for you. That's what it's like in Zoom.
Tom, you did need to request permission. You're absolutely correct about that. But it's no longer host or co-host permission. It's recording or live streaming permission. I gave you both though. So I just, going back to the chat, I just want to say I'm sitting on this chat with Tom and I have no idea what's happening in the main chat. And I'm just saying, I don't really love that. I've missed this. Let me look at this gorgeous picture of John that I missed because I was paying attention to another chat.
But to be fair to Zoom, they do have a little pop-up that says 2 there, David.
What do they have? Who, what?
Where it says main chat, there's a little red bubble that says number 2. That means you missed 2.
No, absolutely. And so all that does is stress me out because what that says is, I mean, because I'm looking across, oh my God, I've got 2 over there and I've got 7 over there. Holy, that's so stressful for me.
How many people are in this meeting? 1, 2, 3, 9, 10, 12? What happens when you've got 150 people in your meeting and you've got hundreds of these little
Right.
bubbles? It's gonna be like, you probably weren't engaged that much with the chat anyways, but at least when it was one unified chat, you could scroll through and see the name next to the person. You didn't have to open a new window.
Right.
I don't know.
Very interesting.
Somebody on the community forum was, what is Zoom's obsession with tabbed interfaces? Like, now we have shared screens, now we have tabbed chats.
So John added to that count. David, did you actually see that? Did you see all the latest number
Holy
now?
crap. No, see, I looked away for 1 second.
So as host, would you be more likely to disable the private,
Come on.
just one main chat?
Say that again.
As host, would you be more inclined to disable all the private sub chats at the beginning of the meeting to have more order and less chaos?
I'm not sure that the problem with that is that I don't want, if people want to send me a private message, me as host, I don't want that going to everyone. So it's really not ideal. Unless, wait a second, if I set it to everyone, none of you can send me a private message, right? Even though I'm host. I just changed.
Yeah, I was going to say I can't do that because I'm co-host, because that I'll probably have different privileges.
So I haven't said to everyone. Can anyone send? See, here we go again, because now some of you already had messages with me. Yeah, so Roland just sent me a message and I didn't have one with him. Okay, so when it's set to everyone, you can still message the host in a private message, and then I can write back. So that's good. Okay, so maybe that's the answer. Maybe the answer is that the everyone selection is basically the old chat.
We hope.
I'm going to get so many tickets this September.
Yeah.
You can leave a chat if you get fed up with there's too many on your system. Just notice that.
Can
And
you
that means leave.
Can you
That
close
means,
it?
yeah, you can leave a particular chat.
I will say though, it's not, I'm nitpicking and I don't, it's not easy. Like, so, I mean.
They're probably going to tell us that this is exactly the same as group chat. And we haven't paid enough attention on how group chat works in the other system.
So here I am in a chat. If I want to leave this chat, I have to come over here, more actions.
That's it.
Remove. How the heck how do I, no, I can't get out actually as the host.
Did you create them?
Stuck.
But you created the chat.
Well, I know. So then
So
I would.
you can't leave a chat that you created.
Right. I have to delete it.
You have to delete it, but you can leave a chat that you've joined or somebody's joined for you.
I'm assuming, well, assuming's a bad thing. Are all of these things going into the continuous meeting chat? Or just the main chat, or are all of the chats going into the continuous meeting chat?
You do have to enable the continuous meeting chat first, don't you? So I have to check that he's got settings done.
Hold on. What's the difference in continuous meeting chat?
So there's meeting chat and there's team chat. Team chat happens outside of the meeting and can be persistent. And continuous meeting chat is when you have the meeting chat flow into the team chat so that the conversations can continue after the meeting ends. Creates a team chat channel. Was that clear? I don't know if I explained that well.
So the chat exists after the meeting.
Right.
Yeah, so it automatically then, David, at the end of the meeting, it actually goes into team chat tab for everybody on YouTube in the workplace app.
So then, Frank, is your question, if we're using this new feature and we've got all these other chats going on, and in the chat, in the saved chat, they all come up together. Do they also even all the private messages go over to team chat?
Yeah. Is it starting new private chat threads in the team chat?
Yeah.
I wish Zoom would have an internal rule that don't turn on new functionality without the support documentation being on the Zoom website at the same time, at the same hour, minute, and day. Because I went to read about this and I couldn't find documentation. Usually when there's something new, I read it first, and then we debate the merits of it at my organization, and then we turn it on. When we're comfortable about the impact, what value does it add, what confusion does it add, all these other things, right?
Yeah, but just to be clear, Frank, I mean, we've known this was coming since April when they announced it.
But they rolled it out, and on their support site, I have no documentation that I could find that told me how it actually works.
Of course.
I could tell you I'm landscaping your house in 6 months and then show up and change it all, and you don't know what you've agreed to. Like, you wouldn't want that, right? You'd want some input or at least an understanding of what's going on.
Right. Yeah. So it's not keeping up with everything, and this is not what we got. So what is John?
But the meeting's still in effect. I wonder if it would show up in the team chat live, or does the meeting have to conclude for it to? Does that play a role? I don't know.
John, is this is the link that you sent me? Does this tell us anything new?
That's the document from January when the team chat upgraded.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And it doesn't give us any idea of what's coming.
Anyways, the Zoom community forum is lit up with this many threads on this similar topic and lots of angst.
No, what was it, yesterday or today? We just got it, I think.
I did an update Monday, and it's the only update I did, so I think it probably came out Monday.
There was an update today, by the way.
Oh, I don't think I've done that one.
No. For Linux machines.
Oh, yes. Those poor Linux people.
For just Linux people.
Yes, I did see that. Yes, I did see that before the show. Yes, I did.
I don't use Linux, but I read often of the trials and tribulations of the poor Linux users and Zoom.
It's actually really reliable. Actually, I have no problems using my Linux of choice is Linux Mint.
Feature sets and stuff aren't at parity, though, right?
Yeah, the Linux developers are behind. Yes. Which again goes back to John's comment of the Linux guys are doing what the Linux guys are doing, the Windows guys are doing what the Windows guys are doing, the Mac guys are doing what the Mac guys are doing. So.
What?
I wouldn't say it exactly that way, because what I've noticed is with some variants, desktop computing is one platform, and Zoom usually has feature parity between Windows and Mac on the desktop platform. The browser has less, Chrome has even less, and mobile has less. And there's differences by platform, but Mac and Windows users basically have a comparable experience. It's very identical.
That's fair. I know back in the, when I used to be in a company that actually had a development team that were making apps for phones, more specifically, of course, this was Android and iOS. They were two separate teams. So it may have depending
there might be a desktop team and a mobile team and a whatever Chrome team or something. Maybe you're right.
Yeah, I do know that, again, they do support, and again, this is to Zoom's credit too, even though we pick on them about Linux, they actually do support, I believe off the top of my head, 6 different flavors of Linux as well. So it's not just one flavor that they support, so, and on top of that too, if you do take into consideration Chromebook, of course, Chrome OS is also Linux too.
Alrighty then. What else do we have? Anything else interesting that people have found or discovered or?
Oh, David or John's got his 4 fingers up. It might be related to a companion of yours.
Is that what you're hinting at, John?
Oh yeah, good pun.
All right. Go ahead,
All right,
Mike.
have you got a bit of a focus on the companion there, David?
I have what's it? What do you like a game? What?
If
I have
if
a
then
bit.
else you would like to do it, then we will wait for your companion.
Look, I can take a bit of this joking, but not a lot.
Companion version 4 is rumored to now have if then else logic.
Yeah,
Talk us through that.
got in the interface. I can confirm that.
Which to me sounds big news. So rather than toggle on, toggle off, you can have logic. So it will toggle one state if something is true, maybe a value is set, and it can do something else if the value is not set.
And possibly if this and if this, then do that.
So rather than a button being a logical on or off, it can now be a logical decision to go on or off, depending on what else is going on in the system.
You
Okay.
need to invite Justin again.
Yeah, we really do. Hold on.
I can confirm that the Justin module, as it is called now in 4.0, it is not a plugin anymore. So the terminology is officially changed with 4.0. That Justin is up to date with the module for 4.0. I have not tested it, but I know that but he does have it available for 4.0.
So I'm here on so here we are, and I happen to be in the OSC thingamabobber. Now I'm not in a meeting, so I'm not gonna be able to see it active, but so I'm not entirely sure how I would use that. Like how would I use that if then such so stuff?
John, did you get to play with that? I never did have a chance today.
No, I didn't, I'm afraid.
Oh, really? So you're getting us all excited about something.
Well, I thought you were good at this, David. I thought you'd just go clink, click, click, and there it is.
No, I'm good at just using stuff that other people build. If I have to actually put it together myself, for goodness sakes, no way.
Oh, Hazmat's waving. Maybe Hazmat knows how to do it.
Hazmat, what's up? Wait, was he really? Does it just?
I was just trying to show 8 fingers instead of 4.
So you're twice as good.
Or is Hasbeth waiting for version 8? Tell us the truth, Hasbeth. I know. Don't do this. And again, Hasbeth, we already told you last time, don't do this on the production machine.
Does anyone sell
On the fighting ones.
pre-configured BitFocus companion installation packs where it's just ready to go and you?
That is correct. Yes, there's actually a couple of YouTube influencers online that actually will sell you a pre-done kit so that you can actually do it. Yes. And all you have to do is just install you just have to do an import into Companion and it'll get you up and running. There's basic ones, and this one specific person, I'm trying to remember his handle on YouTube, but yes, he does have a little store where he's taken the amount of hours of being able to do multiple pages, and it's gotten to the point where he actually is, because of his equipment, he actually uses Canon PTZs. So he actually has different size. So the 15 button, the 31 button layouts as well. And again, it just depends on what you want to control. He's got ATEM. He's the one I looked at the Vicro stuff, and I ended up getting one of his free templates just to look through that, how he actually organized things into the multiple pages and such, and how he was able to call from one page to another page to get a command to work. Hasmuth, go ahead.
I have a non-Zoom question. Am I permitted to bring it up here? I'm experimenting with the 2ME constellation, seeing that you brought up companion.
Yeah.
Is anybody using 2ME constellation here?
Not as of yet.
Okay, that was a very short question. I'll ask again sometime.
What do you tell us about
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, Hasmuth, what would be the issue anyways? I'm pretty sure we could probably figure it out, especially if you're using the ATEM software control.
Yes, so I've been using the ATEM Extreme for a couple of years now, and the multi-video out. When you put that in, the ATEM has buttons for video out 1, so you can switch which camera you want to see on that screen, or you use the drop-down menu for multi-video out 2. So so I normally have macros. I put all of that on my Stream Deck. So my Stream Deck, I can switch to what the host sees and what the talent sees.
Yep.
But I see the ATEM software on 2ME, you get a whole grid view, but you can't switch multi-view to a specific camera or output.
You can in the, I'm just going to actually pull it up here quickly so that I'm telling you to go to the right spot. At the top, if you go to outputs, should have in there output, and then you should have in your when your 2ME is running though, you should actually have output 1, 2, 3, 4, then go into there, and you should have a choice of multi-view to assign that certain one to multi-view. You should also be able to, if I'm remembering with the 2ME, there should be some buttons on the 2ME has buttons on the front, correct?
Yeah.
And you should be able to go through the menu there as well and do that there as well.
Okay, so the ATEM software for the 2ME has only output, nothing else. So in the output, you can choose all those except multi-view. You can choose ME1 or ME2 and the various other cameras. But I think we're going off the subject in a Zoom meeting, so maybe.
No, understood. But again, what I would be more concerned about, Hasmuth, is make sure that you're connecting up to the right switcher to make sure that you've got all the inputs and outputs.
Yep.
Because if I'm remembering the 2ME, you should have a lot more than just one output. That should actually have
no. It has 10 outputs and 20 inputs.
Right. Well, you should see in that drop down, it should actually spit out all the individual outputs.
It does. But you can't push it to a multi-view as a choice.
Correct. You can't make any camera a multi-view. I believe that is correct.
Exactly. Yeah. You can't do that.
A camera, you want to loop. Okay. So what? Yeah. Okay. Yes. And some influencers, what they've done is they've actually taken the one port that actually is hard-coded multi-view,
put it back in, and then loop it out again.
And they rerouted it into the last port. Okay. Then you can reroute it.
Then you can choose
camera input.
Yeah. Okay. Got you.
Yes, I do remember that one. Yes, some of the influencers that I watch, the ATEM guys, John actually, I think, talked about that. I'm trying to remember if Jonas has actually talked about that as well. There are a few others that have talked about that. They actually loop out the multi-view output that is hard-coded to that one and loop it back into the last input. And then
I've done that I've done that with my ATEM. I got a multi-view out of one ATEM and I fed it into a second ATEM, and then I gave them the chance to put it out of a different video port as well. But then when you've got 3 ATEMs, you've got to find reasons to daisy chain them together, haven't you? Otherwise, it's not fun.
John and his toys. What to do with them? YouTube, what do you think? I know. So yeah, so David disappeared on us momentarily. So I'll just let everybody know that, oh, it's me again. I swear. And let me do it this time with the proper transition this time. And I swear my 4.0 is not letting me down. I just hit the wrong button. There we go. That we're doing question and answers from everybody on YouTube, and let me know in chat. Chat has been very quiet, YouTube. You've been very quiet today. And I'm surprising. I expected a lot more feedback from you, especially when we're talking about the different flavors of chat and the group chat and private chat and such. So let us know your thoughts about that. We can continue with that a little bit. If not, if you do have any questions for us, the panelists are they're standing by for your questions.
Can you stop downloading Companion? Because I can't get it now.
Uh-oh. Explain, John.
Well, we've talked about the new version, and now I can't get the update to download. So if you're downloading out there, stop. Okay, stop, because I want to have a go.
Oh, this very well could be that we started at a bit of a, whatever you want to call that, situation where everybody's now going, the guys told us that Companions 4.0 is out. And I will now catch up with main chat. So David, is back to you.
Well, I only have one message in main chat, but sorry if I missed it. Did you all talk about what's new in 4.0 other than the if then that thing that I couldn't figure out?
I was actually helping Hasmuth with his ATEM 2ME issue multi-view that is hardwired to port 1, I would assume. Hasmuth, I think I'm right. And what we learned that you actually have to route that back into the last. So just you need a small little thin SDI cable to go back and forth into the last port. And then you can route that however you'd like to any external output. But that is for Hasmuth's Zoom events that he does.
Brought to you by Zoom.
Brought to you by Zoom. That's right. And I don't know if YouTube is noticing. I know we're noticing here in the meeting that David is trying to see if he can break 4.0 as we speak.
Well,
and he
yeah,
hasn't.
no, I'm
So that's good.
sorry. I'm just clicking a bunch of buttons.
He's making sure that every time he hits that stream deck is one of many. Where's Robert? Robert, I need help.
I'm actually not even clicking the stream deck. I was looking at the emulator, the on-screen emulator.
Right. That everybody can use on any, should you have a phone or you need or a tablet, you could actually just go into that website. Should you not have a physical stream deck and it's on the network, you'll be able to do the stream deck functionality as well.
So I can ask a Zoom question now.
Of course, Hasba, by all means.
So in my medical production, I normally have the talent in studio with ATEM, with Zoom ISO, Zoom tiles, and then companion and all the usual production setup. If I had to have a remote talent, what are the issues I need to think about? Because I will have the production set up in my office, and I want the users to have the same experience as if the talent was in studio.
What do we think, panelists?
God,
So
somebody
usually,
won't like it.
So usually in production, if I use Zoom ISO, if any of the participants ask questions, I Zoom ISO them and bring them up in a two-up in the what do you call it? Super source, and then I normally project the ISO video for the talent. So the talent is looking at the person isolated. So I'm trying to simulate that with talent being remote. So I want to set up at the hospital a workstation so
Okay.
that they can frequent shows and not schedule it trying to come to my studio. So
Okay. So
I
So you
look at
need to
the,
send back to them something. Is that the issue?
say again.
So the issue is you need to send something back to your talent. Is that the?
It's not, well, I assume the talent will be in the meeting as well, because the way I run the production, everybody is in a meeting. So I don't use rooms or anything. They're all on the stage. As they come in, they're on stage. And normally the talent is on the host machine. So they're gonna be the program out most of the time on the camera. But if they remote, they'll be coming in as a participant, like any other participant. But I want them to drive the meeting. That means I need them to present. So they normally have the cameras on them, and they have a machine with slides in it. So what I'm thinking of having the slides in the studio and get them to remotely change the slides as they present, but show everybody in the meeting a two-up with them and the slide. They don't have to see a two-up. And if somebody's asking a question, I can show that remote talent by ISOing them and ISOing the participant that's asking the question.
Do they have to
So
see the chat,
everybody-
Hazmat?
Say again?
Does the talent have to be able to see the chat feed?
No.
Right.
No.
Put them on a separate Zoom account outside. Send the Zoom account to a screen.
That's what I was-
Input the screen into your ATEM, and that's the way we used to do it before there was anything clever with Zoom.
Would they be able to see the participants in that meeting when they are remote?
That depends what you send back to them. But no.
No.
But
They're in
yeah.
a separate Zoom meeting. If they're in the same Zoom meeting, you're going to have a loop back issue where they're going to be talking before they're heard and seeing before they're, you'll have a timing issue because you're letting them come into Zoom and then you're taking them out of Zoom and putting them back in through the ATEM. So if you want
No.
them to be synced properly, you can run them as an external entrant by just having them on a separate Zoom and taking the video feed, or you can get them to stream, which would be more complicated. Or if Blackmagic really was talking to you, they would tell you should do a Blackmagic stream from the user using an ATEM at one end and stream it into the other one.
Yeah, using the streaming bridge is what John is talking about. But when it comes to, it depends on what you want to send them back, Hasma. You could,
Maybe
in theory, like David did, was you actually set up tiles where you got the gallery view then structured that you're sending back. But if you need a specific person to be asking that question, you production-wise, basically you're switching.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So whatever you're feeding back to them, then you're doing its own. And this is not abnormal because again, in large productions on site for event companies, when they're doing the image magnification on the projector, that larger productions is its own video switching crew. And the one that actually is going to broadcast, should that be streaming or the truck or whatever, that is its own video crew too, where they basically split the video feeds into two video switchers. And then X is going to broadcast, Y is going back to whatever. In this case, you're basically taking the in-person scenario of IMAG where you actually have the screen in front of you and you got that control too. Now you're taking it to the next level of you have to now worry about the IMAG being to that person, but also you need to worry about what you're broadcasting, right? So that is officially where you could actually have the 2ME doing all the hard work, but like an ATEM Mini Pro sending back into Zoom for the confidence of that person, where you're doing small switching of, oh, okay, can I, and then all of a sudden, if that person is talking from the one meeting, you're in sync now because you're bringing it back from the ATEM Constellation 2ME back into the ATEM Mini Pro, and the ATEM Mini Pro is sending back to that person. and everything is, I know it's a flow chart time. Yes.
But
Yeah.
I mean, this if you take the simplest scenario, the remote person is a participant in the meeting, A, and B, I don't want to send them anything back. So what I mostly worry about is what I mean, the talent is remote, and I don't need to return anything to the talent. They are like any participants. And as a participant, they are doing the presentation, right? So from my office, they're all the same. And so if the talent is speaking and somebody's asking a question, I can ISO the person in my office that's asking the question and super source the person asking the question and the talent, because I can ISO the talent as well. So everybody in the meeting is watching the talent and the ISO'd other ISO participant.
Right.
That would
So
be the simplest without me returning anything to the talent.
right.
That's
And again,
doable.
that is doable. Are you staying, everything is staying within Zoom? Because that becomes
Yes,
very important.
everything in Zoom. Everything is
Okay.
in Zoom.
Because as soon as you start adding YouTube or something else, this becomes
All in Zoom.
again cascade,
Yeah.
right?
So I assume there won't be any sync issues because everybody's going through the same, and everybody's in the same meeting.
Right. Now, again, what you can do, like if I was doing that right now, I can actually do this, which
Yeah,
is the old school way of doing it, which is now we're two.
exactly.
Now
So
now we're both spotlit. Now
exactly.
on YouTube, what YouTube will now see, and I'll just wait for it to come up so I can actually make sure that it's happening, is that you and I are now beside each other on YouTube with the
Yes.
black, right?
Yes.
So that you could, again, through Companion, hit these as a double spotlight. David, you're gonna have to correct me on that one. I believe that's
Right.
that's going. My
Yeah.
brain is telling me that Jeff
Yeah,
used to do
yeah.
that all the time.
Double spotlight?
Yeah, where you could actually tell, you can say X person and Y person, then hit spotlight, and both of them will get spotlight at the same time.
Oh, sure. So
Right.
that's, yeah. So if I go to, hold on, let me bring it back up here. Okay. So I have, this is just the way I've set mine up. So I've got this button here that toggles between single select and multi-select, because sometimes I only want to select one person, but if I want to select multiple, I change it to multi-select. And then I can just, I mean, I'm already selected, but I could choose Tony and Mike. I could unselect me. Oh, sorry. Clear selections. Let me try that again. I got Tony and Mike. And then I just click, this is my add. Let me see what this is actually doing. It's edit button. I'm looking at the, oh, sorry. This is pointing to another page. That's what it is. Here it is. This button is the, what button is it? Add spotlight. And this, for what it's worth, this is available. I don't even know, actually, now that I think of it, I don't know if OSC has non-pro accounts anymore. Now that it's all through Zoom, I'm not sure that exists, but back in the good old days, or the not so good old days, this was a pro feature. But yeah, once you do that, you've got them selected, multiple people, and then you just hit. And now they are, they will both be added, except because I was already spotlit, that's why I didn't. There are three of us.
So I imagine that if I'm hoping to do what, or if I achieve what I'm hoping to do, I would spotlight as the host into the meeting. And then the reason why I use super sources is because I bring in graphics at the lower thirds. And my graphics basically picks up the Zoom username of each one. And then I display the names on the into the meeting in program, so that the talent knows who the person is that's asking the question. So on my one button on my Stream Deck, I ISO the person, and at the same time I bring their name, the Zoom name, as a lower thirds graphic layered on top of their SuperSource window.
Right. And again, that as Andy's new software, that you could actually do that within Zoom now as its own layer.
Yeah, correct. Correct.
And that's that, David, I think that's what you have, right? That was the toy that Andy is giving you access to.
Oh, this is the graphics toolkit.
Graphics toolkit.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the graphics toolkit. Now, again, yes. So the graphics toolkit in itself, I think, and I don't know enough about it. David, you've had the most playing with it of it. Could you actually do a 2-box and actually have?
Graphics toolkit is just for overlaying chat, and
it's not. It's not for lower thirds.
It's for
why not?
It's for chat as lower thirds. It's not.
Yes, yes, chat. It's not for grabbing, let's say, the Zoom name or unlike tiles. Tiles you can play with the name of the Zoom name of the participant.
So let me.
Yeah,
it's just technically. I don't think we're supposed to show the behind them, but it's just chat, questions, and polls. I mean, if asset manager.
Yeah,
there is an asset manager. So
yeah. Now, the other scenario too would be now again, depending on how much interactivity there's going to be, this is where you start getting into doing production studio too, right? Where you could actually have things. I know that's going on. I know, but I'm just saying that's where it really depends on how fancy you want to get everything.
Or Mimo or Ecamm.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just I'm hesitant in learning something new because I've got this workflow with Zoom ISO, and I could use tiles, but the tiles would be coming from a different machine, and so I'll always have a sync issue, as Andy said last week with tiles. So I'd rather use the same Zoom ISO client meeting and pump the graphics into that meeting through my ATEM.
How much graphics do you need, Hazmat?
Just the lower thirds of each person, but the lower thirds is grabbed by the Zoom name.
No. Create the lower thirds as graphics.
No, what I do
create the lower thirds as graphics. Send them to each of the speakers. Get them to install them or help them to install them as video filters, and they can put their own lower third on, so the lower third will then appear in their video feed without you having to add it.
I'm working with doctors, so I don't have much confidence.
They've only got to go to their video filters and click a button.
Believe me, I don't have any confidence in their ability to. Yeah. It's not. No, what the way I've set my workflow is, Jonas helped me to put a trigger in Companion, and so whoever I have ISO'd in Zoom ISO, that person's name, Zoom name, is grabbed in Companion as a graphic. Then I use H2R graphics to feed that as an overlay. So all I have to do is select the person that's put up the digital hand. As soon as I select, Companion grabs that Zoom name as a variable, and H2R graphics reads that variable, and then I put that as an overlay in the SuperSource.
So Hazmat,
all automated.
in the Ecamm world,
Yes.
it's even a little simpler than that, because with the latest update, I'm just pulling it up here for you. Zoom, here we go. So in oh, am I not that's interesting. Sorry, I was trying to do something with a companion. It didn't work for some reason. In any case, so now in Ecamm, what I could do is, I'm not in this meeting right now with Ecamm, but if I were, what I could do is I could build a scene like this one with just a camera, but change the camera to active speaker. Okay. And then I can come in here to Zoom and I can say, where is it? Or is it over here? Auto admit. You can't see it right now because I'm not in the meeting. Sorry, but there's a button over here that says start capturing audio and video. And I don't have to add anyone as a camera. I can just say, boom, start capturing. And then anyone who speaks will automatically be brought up as the active speaker.
Gotcha.
And there is a button somewhere. Here it is. Show Zoom guest names in camera mode. So if I toggle that on, then their lower third will come up. And I believe, in fact, more than believe, I know that you can stylize it. You can turn it into a lower third. You can give it a background. You can do all that other stuff. It just grabs their name exactly as you're doing from Zoom.
So is everybody in a meeting, in a Zoom meeting?
Everyone's in a Zoom meeting.
Right, including the talent, let's say the remote talent, for example.
Yep.
And as host, you are coming in with Ecamm.
Yep.
Okay. And what you just walked through me now, that's what you are putting out into program.
Correct. So basically, I would spotlight myself.
That's exactly
and
what
then
I
would grab. Now you're still going to have the sync issue. I mean, there's still going to be, because again, you're grabbing the video out of Zoom, putting it into Ecamm, and feeding it right back.
Exactly.
Exactly. If everyone needs to be in the same room, then that's
yeah. Gotcha.
Or
I'm gonna have one last go, if I may.
Or something.
Can I have one last go? Hazmat?
Yeah.
Would it not be more sensible and easier for you if the lower thirds were on the computer of the person, each person had their proper lower third on their lower third, on their screen? So like I showed you like that, wouldn't it be better?
No, I got you.
Okay, there are plenty of other ways to achieve this, but
sure.
I can't release the software yet, but it probably be available in a couple of months.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that once I've done it, people like H2 Graphics and the other people will take their apps to a better level, because they're not very well integrated into Zoom yet.
Sure. So the thing I use the H2R graphics for is also I use the timer in the graphics.
I think it's a fantastic product. I'm just
lower
blatantly trying to encourage him to make it more integrated with Zoom, because then he can do more clever things without all these backdoor fiddles he's doing.
Exactly. And if I want to send a message to the talent, then I use that same HR graphics, or into program. Raise your hand if you want to ask a question. So for all of those lower thirds or graphics that I'm sending, they all sit on a companion button. So I just hit the button and then a graphic comes up and I release it, next message, and so on and so on. Anyway, thanks for that.
No,
I mean,
thank you very much for the diversion, because I've managed to fix the issue now of how the if then else works while you were doing that. So thank you very much for taking over the conversation. David, would you like to have a go at doing the if then else? Hazmat, sorry, is there anything else you wanted to add? No? Okay. David, would you like to learn if then else live on Test Kitchen?
Learn what?
how to do anything else in Companion.
Sure.
If you want to bring your Companion up, I
Okay.
can tell you how to get there.
I'm so nervous.
So am I, because I haven't shown anyone yet.
Do.
Okay.
This part of this was supported by the Zoom Community Champions.
My OSC is not working right now. Am I spotlit? I can't tell. I
You
spotlit.
were. Then I had to respotlight. Then you unspotlight yourself. So I am.
I don't know what's going on.
And I'm going to add John beside you. So there you go. So
Oh,
everybody,
thank you very
on YouTube
much.
sees both of you. There
So
you
you
go.
can see the look
Go
of
for
fear
it.
in my face every time he presses a key.
All right, here we go.
No pressure then. Okay, so would you like to choose a button? Yeah, that's it. Start a new button, sir, if you mind.
Yes.
Sounds like a driving test, doesn't it? Right. Hit the plus thing on the step one. So that's stop. Go to step. That's no. Yes, that's it. Now we want if. Just type in if. And there you are. There's the internal if logic statement. That's it. Okay. Now you need the condition when true. So you need to type in that. What did I type? I type variable. There we are. So you can do a variable check. So you can do check value. So you can say a variable that you have in the system. You probably don't have one, but don't worry. I mean, it's
No,
an
I have
example.
nothing. Okay, well, let's do this. If
Okay, I created a custom one just for this,
the
but
date
equals or greater than or less than. So that's the variable, and then you put the value in there.
date 6. Okay, then
you can do an action. Turn something on, turn something off, whatever.
wait, what just happened? What did I just do?
You're doing another if. So this is where I
start
said
another if.
Wait, what? Who? Hold on.
You got if.
Okay, then
Do something. Turn on a light. Turn on an item.
Huh. You know what's interesting is in the variable, I was curious if I could do connection status. I was curious if I could. So right now I have a trigger over here, which is essentially the same thing, unless I'm wrong, right? On condition becoming true, I want you to do this.
Yeah.
That's been here for a while. It sounds to me like now it's just built in natively, maybe.
yeah, where it's not a
So
global
you're
trigger now.
press the
It's a
trigger
button
is you press the button. So you press the button, and then you say, if this is true, I want you to do this action. Else, I want you to do this action.
A trigger just happens automatically. That's
Correct.
Correct.
Right. And think of it, David, as the trigger is a global trigger,
Right.
where this is a button trigger
Right.
per se in the framework of the logic and such.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. You
And-
might have the number of maybe I don't know. Can you keep the number? Do you know the number of people who are spotlit under OSC? And then you could say if there's one person spotlit, do something. If there's more than one person spotlit, do something else.
Right. So I'm so active speaker callers and group. Gallery count. Interesting. Okay. I'll have to play with this.
Yeah, and our relay from YouTube, Jonas is watching us, and he was saying trigger runs on a specific event, but if it's triggered by a button press only, is what he said.
Yeah.
That's the big difference between the two. Yeah.
Wow. Very interesting.
Jonas, I know that you're in this world, especially making modules. So thanks for that.
Yeah.
Yes, I have to say modules now because that's the official term too. David, you might want to go back to that. Yeah, go back to that again. Go back to your spotlight yourself again.
Yeah, it's not working. Hold on a second. Don't press anything. Hold on.
Yeah.
Why isn't my spotlight working?
Did you
Broke. Everything's broken.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll spotlight you as I'm talking here.
Sorry, I'm trying to.
There we go. I got you. Yeah. So in there, did you notice that you had to, no, oh, you're in the configuration? Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
What? Where do you want me to be?
Where, yeah, at the connections, when you did the initial install, did you notice that there was a
Yeah.
download button
Yes.
to make sure that everything was up to date?
Yep. I did.
Yeah, I just wanted to let the YouTube audience know that don't freak out if you're upgrading from 3 to 4. There will probably be an error message, but it's not really an error message. It's a download button that happens in the connection section. And what it needs to do is actually change it from 3.5 dot whatever version you're on to 4.0. And that download will actually grab all the latest versions of the modules that you are currently using and install it into Companion. And again, if I said anything wrong, Jonas, and you're watching, help me in chat, and then I'll relay and I'll fix my wording. But I believe
My
that's a term.
clear stage is working. Clear spotlight, but my spotlight isn't. That's so interesting.
But it was before.
I know. I think I broke Companion.
Now, the only time that you might have did a modification was when you're trying to do Hasbuff and I spotlighting through Companion.
Yeah. You know what that means? It means it's time for me to go. That's what that means. When I start breaking major applications, it's never a good sign. Oh my goodness.
Too funny, dude.
I'll have to play with that if then. That's pretty cool though.
But you could see that, this just, if you think about the different scenarios, if this just goes, it takes it all a whole different new level again. Because now you can actually, what you used to have to be in the triggering section, you could now actually make, and again, I'll say it this way, and I'll make sure I use the same, it's triggered by a button press only. Yeah, I'll use Jonas's terminology on that, where that's totally different, where before it was based on other criteria in the triggering section.
What I really came to appreciate about OSE and Companion is that it's not you don't get it at first. I mean, you don't realize at first how much you can actually do if you take the time, and that's what it's about. You just have to give it some time.
Yeah, and Jonas just let me know too, and this one I didn't know, but that he says the main cool thing with version 4 is that you can run old versions of the module as well, or even run 2 versions at the same time. And in there, David, if you want to take a look at that, we can actually show that to the YouTube audience.
Oh, I just hold on.
Yeah. Oh, do you still?
Oh, I got it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so in there, if you actually go back to the actual connections and you click on the module itself, now you can actually, I believe, yeah, see where you got module version?
Yeah.
Hit the down arrow.
Yeah, it's not letting me.
It's not letting you. Interesting. Okay.
But maybe
try just the regular OSC one and see what happens.
Isn't it because it's active?
No, this actually is not active though. I'm not in the meeting anymore. I wonder if it's because maybe OSC isn't allowing it.
And Jonas is just telling us on YouTube that he says you can only change it when the module isn't live and you download different versions in the modules tab.
Oh, that's what it is. I don't have anything else downloaded.
Right.
I don't have any other versions downloaded. That's why. That makes sense.
Yeah. So if you actually go into the setup section there, yeah. So you could actually, again, do search. Should be able to search in there for OSC ISO, and it might actually come up with some of the older versions. But okay.
Hold on, I can't get over it. There we go. No, I think you have to download it from outside, I think.
No, I see it there. I see Zoom ISO OSC there. Add fifth one down.
Yeah, but I already have this. This is the same one. This is the latest. Well, I think what I'm saying is that if you download old versions, then you can run them concurrently.
Oh, yeah. No, so Jonas is actually updating us again. Thanks, Jonas. On YouTube, he says, no, you need to click the red toggle to disable the module, then you can do it.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So,
Now go back. Now click on the actual module itself.
Oh, there you
go.
There
You've
happens
only
to be one here, but yeah.
Right. And then, yeah, if you go into the setup, there you go. Then you can change your version. Again, if you had other versions, that's where you do it.
Right.
And Jonas, obviously, when he does a lot of his testing of the latest version of the module before releasing it, this is where the developers love it too, so they can do their testing before actually putting it to the main repository where it gets pushed out to everybody.
Yeah.
But Mike, so if you let's say download two versions from BitFocus website, right?
Right. So you're talking companion itself now, or are you talking the modules? Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Jonas is watching, so he can give me a proper answer too. So go for it.
I'm trying to get my head around companion and modules.
Yep.
So you download the latest version of companion, which is 4.0 that Justin announced. Is that right?
Yeah, if you do install 4.0, it's going to want to go over the old version, right? So that is, it's also, that's why I'm saying is that, and I was kidding around with you before, but I'm being serious now when I'm saying if you've got everything working in 3.5, you may be very hesitant to actually copy that same configuration, like do an export out of Companion, go to a whole new PC or a whole new Mac, however you're running Companion, and install 4.0 over there, and then import everything in, all the configuration settings there, then test it over there and see if it does everything.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about, right? Then and only then would I actually then migrate that to your production PC. And guess who comes in when we ask?
Jonas.
Here it comes.
In the UK, we have a program called Mr. Men, and the shopkeeper, it's always magic when the shopkeeper appears. This is always magic when the product managers appear.
But in this case, it's Jonas that appeared. Hello there, sir.
Oh, hi there. Sure. Were you able to find it? I haven't watched the last 30 seconds.
Oh, in the module to once we disabled it. Yeah, I did have David look at that just before coming. Or are you telling me more?
There we
Yep,
go.
go ahead.
So what you need to do is there's this new tab on the left here called modules. And if you click a module here, so let's do Zoom with the ISO, then you can download the different versions here. And then if I go back to connections, here you can now select between the different ones. But one of the cool features is this is the running on the latest, and this one is 2 versions old. But like you can now run both of them at the same time. One important thing though is, let's say I want to install this one, it's gonna need to install the latest. The way that you fix that is you go to the BitFocus website, sign in there, and then they have a new download here called the Companion Offline Module Bundle. And if you download that, you can now, under modules, import offline module bundle. So a bundle is like just all of the different modules. So now I'm gonna import that. and now it's gonna crash. Then I'm gonna just try that again and see if it works this time. Maybe not.
Okay. So what is the module bundle differences between the two, Jonas, for everybody on YouTube?
So the big advantage is that with this module bundle, you can like get all the modules that normally would have shipped with Companion downloaded, so you can use them. Because otherwise, if you're offline without internet connection, you might be out of luck. The other really cool thing is if a module developer gives you a demo or like a beta module now, you can simply import it here using the import module package.
Okay.
That's the like version 4 is the reason why we had to do like the really painful transition between version 2 and 3, where we had to rewrite all the modules. This is the reason why, because now everything is separated. And the one thing, if you have delays anywhere in your functions, they will no longer work. Just keep that in mind. Because now
Right.
delays are a sleep function instead of per action.
Okay. And when you were joining, Hesmuth actually asked me about if he wants to go from his current config, which is 3.5.4, Hesmuth, to 4.0. He was asking about the best way to do that. I was telling him to, before touching his current one, to get another PC/Mac and do 4.0 over there. Or is it safe enough?
I mean, I would just like go into export your whole configuration, and then upgrade. It should work. Like the one thing that I've seen cause issue, but that would be the same to 3.5 is if you have like a lot of if you have a lot of timing. You now do that with groups and sleep actions, but like other than that, it has been pretty okay. Like except for that bug that I just found there that crashes my browser. But detail.
Jonas always testing, and he's breaking things as we speak live. It's okay. Welcome to the kitchen, where we break things. But yeah, so there you go, Hasmuth. So I thought so. Yeah, so basically fully export and bring it up in another, PC, or if you want to get really cute, you can get into like virtual machine of a PC or whatever, and then just run Companion over there. Then make sure that it's hooked up to the network and does everything that you need it to do. That's basically what I ended up doing here in the studio yesterday when John actually gave me the FYI that they actually went from, and I noticed, Jonas, and I'll talk to you about this too. Yesterday, I actually caught that my 3.5.4 wanted me to upgrade to 3.5.5, but when I went to BitFocus, it actually gave me 4. I'll talk about that in a sec. But let me just finish my thought on 4.0. So that's what I did yesterday. Was I was at 3.5.4 and I upgraded to 4.0, and that's what I ended up doing was exporting, testing before I did the 4.0 upgrade, then testing, see if anything broke in 4.0, so that I could always go back to uninstall 4 and reinstall 3.5.4 and bring my config, import my config back in again. Right? Should you have not another machine.
So on a Mac, you can have all the different versions of Companion by just renaming them. I always export before I go to the next updated version. So then I normally import my configuration into the updated Companion. So if so when I went from 2 to 3 and all the different iterations, I export first my old configuration. Then I rename my old one, and then download the updated one. Then it comes up as companion.app. And in there, I import my last configuration. So that's how I've been doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I gave you my experience, and mine was based on PC. It wasn't based on Mac. But that's what I ended up doing there.
Yeah.
Because it is, again, the Windows installer that BitFocus gives me, they want to put it back in the Companion folder for me. I would have to actually then manually override that to putting it into like a Companion 4 folder. But then I've done that before too in some of the betas that I was testing, and all of a sudden things were maybe working, not working. It was causing me a lot of grief. So for me, I took it to because I do have some older hardware. Again, Companion doesn't need anything exciting to run, so I just threw it on there. Jonas, any other tips?
No.
So your modules are good, and there is that's the new name now, right? Because was it modules before or plugins? It felt like there was a new naming convention that they're using now.
They said that modules are now plugins. They have been called modules for a long time, but like now they are proper plugins that like in the past they used to ship with the main companion, which caused a lot of issues because like if I wanted to update my module, it could be 6 months till that hits mainline, or 3 months most of the time.
Right. And again, that's based on, and then it has to go in the actual, for on the PC world, it would actually go in the installer, right?
Yeah.
But I would assume it's similar in the Mac world too. It'd have to go in the installer. But now,
yeah, it was all included in the bundle.
Right. So now you guys have to keep up the repository, would be my thought, the GitHub repository.
There's like a developer portal that you can publish your latest versions with, but yeah, they all get built from the open source.
Right. And how different is Buttons than this? Do I want to go down this road or not?
Buttons is a broadcast control system built for broadcast. It is made for multiple users using the same server with multiple surfaces with advanced ways of creating buttons. They have certain modules. They have most of the modules from Companion. They use the same module repository. But the one thing also is that they have a lot of like 702110 IPMX and MOS things that aren't in here. And it's heavily focused on being a broadcast control system with a lot of routing.
Okay. All right. So some plugins, I guess is the right word now, are not in Companion that are strictly for buttons.
I wouldn't say so. There's specific functions within buttons that are not in Companion, because buttons is a completely separate thing. Like buttons is a commercial reimagination of a broadcast control systems by the same people that started the Companion project.
Right. So there is, so again, buttons and Companion, again, our audience are always, do we stick with Companion? Do we go to buttons? When would be a good time to make sure that I know that I've outgrown Companion, which probably you never will. When is a good time to go to buttons?
I think for installs, it's good to go to buttons. If you find yourself, there's a couple really neat features with like, you can create a button group and create one template button and then tell it to like just count certain variables up. But I find that for a single operator, buttons doesn't make sense in my like pricing wise and complexity wise. But like if you have multiple people, like let's say for your flight pack, I probably would use buttons. For like your large studio install, where you might have had like 2, 3, 4 Companion instances, that's where I see buttons fitting in.
Right, where all of a sudden now you're running multiple Companions just to handle the load, like Companion for this, Companion for that, where you haven't, where buttons is got that more flexibility of who can do what where, right? Where it's more user based as well,
and like also access based. Like that's the one of the big things. Like you actually have users with username and passwords and like RFID keys with buttons, and like Companion doesn't have any understanding of users.
Right. It's basically things that whoever is asking me for the command, it's just going to do it. Where buttons, basically, it says, oh, okay, is this person X? Okay. And he hit the button. Okay. Then he's allowed to do Y.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. But again, not to confuse everybody, you can actually get the buttons rack mountable unit and still use Companion. Companion unit is smart enough to actually understand
Well,
buttons unit, correct, Jonas?
it's
Or
not
no?
a buttons unit. It's Stream Deck Studio. It's this thing.
Right.
And
It's
Stream
that
Deck
guy there.
Studio does work with Companion, both over the network and through satellite. That's probably my favorite new plugin in Companion 4.0 is the satellite. They now have a satellite plugin. So like you can use your companion to control other people's companion.
Right. I know satellite was around in 3, so they've improved it quite a bit. Jonas, is what you're saying.
Yeah, like the separate app is quite improved, but now also there's a module. So you can, from a normal companion, connect to another companion as a satellite device, which is really neat because we do that a lot for our operators where they use satellite, but then they lose all their local control. So now they can have best of both worlds.
Makes sense. So yeah, let me go a little more layman on that terminology. So basically within the actual companion itself, you are so basically, as you know, your local stream deck will talk to the local companion. But what you could actually do now in the actual local companion configuration is put in that external, should it be, or even additional one that's on the network. In Jonas's case, he's actually doing an external one. And now basically they've built in the satellite functionality that you had to run separately with its own separate stream deck. Now actually could be incorporated to the same stream deck with the same companion server. It just knows that, oh, okay, you're asking for this command and it's not on me, but it's on the remote companion. Did I do that all right, Jonas, or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands the logical step by step without going into, and you'll say, Mike, how do we do that? And it's like that's its own show. How to actually get 2 companions to work and stuff like that, Jonas. Unless you've got that set up already, that you can show us. But
I mean, I can. It's a simple demo, like
cool.
because you can even do it with yourself. So like here I have my one page, and let's take this module and we'll do breakout actions. We'll just drag and drop all of those there. And then what I then can do is I go to connections, satellite, and I already set up a satellite with connecting to the same companion. And I can decide how many columns, how many rows, what device ID, what the bitmap resolution should be, because like they are sending bitmaps. The high would like require a bunch more bandwidth. And then what I can do here is I'll go to page 2. There we go. Now I have a larger page. And what I have here is I have all my buttons that I'm pulling here now, and you don't see anything here. That is because if we go to surfaces, this one, and I set this to look at page 1, you now see I have all of my buttons in here. They are rotated, which is fun because we probably, set a rotation in here. So now they would be normal, and I could pull in all, like I'm pulling in remote buttons this way. Yeah.
Now, Jonas, just for everybody, did you have to punch any holes?
I mean, in this case, not, because like it's the same way with satellite. It's just port 1600 622 that you need to have open. So like you need to be able to reach that of the remote companion, and then you're good.
Yeah. So Hasbuff, I know that's kicking it up a notch for you, right? If you did that, he's like, no way, don't do it. Don't do it. I know. But again, you see where, in your doctor's situation, you could actually have a stream deck at the actual doctor office doing things, and you're actually then switching there. And
Yeah,
if they had an
yeah,
ATEM there too, right? And again,
yeah,
that
yeah,
goes all the
yeah.
way down that hole.
And that is the plan, so I can insert a ATM and but I'm trying to crawl, then stand up, and then walk, and then run. So incremental steps at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, where before, again, like Jonas was mentioning, the only reasoning that I wasn't using satellite was because of the fact that it took over for my Stream Deck, where now it's
Yeah.
actually incorporated. It becomes its own. In Jonas's case, how he showed everybody, it was its own page, right? Which is great. It's like, okay, that's awesome. So now all of a sudden I go to the page of Stream Deck Remote, and boom, I'm on that page, and then I can pull up and do all kinds of different things that I need to.
In my profession, I meet a lot of technically delinquent folks. So, so I have to keep it really rookie proof.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Absolutely. So, Jonas, thanks for joining, buddy. It's been a while.
No worries.
Glad to see you.
Yeah, we haven't
Thought
spoken
that's
for Jonas for years, Jonas, and I still use your little help you've given me for years now.
I'm glad. Yeah, I thought it might be a tiny bit faster than me trying to keep up with YouTube chat.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It was so new, and I know that you're in it because you're making the modules for Byte Hive products. You're making it for all your different products. Actually, you've got how many on the go now? 5 that would be using Companion.
I don't
Did I do
even
that right?
know anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, I know you're in the community more than I am. I'm in the community, but I didn't catch that I knew that 4 was coming, but I didn't think it was actually coming this
They,
quickly.
I mean, they probably wanted it out before Infocom. They do like to reach special milestones like that, which
Right. Yeah.
that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, no, but again, I thought it was curious. I caught it in my version before I updated going into the interface. It says new version available 3.5.5.
I think there also was a last 3.55 update. Like there was another dot release with bug fixes to the version 3.
3.5.4.
Yeah. So there was another point release there, which I think is really nice of them to do.
Oh yeah, they've the group that focus, the Zoom Test Kitchen community. We love Companion, so absolutely. But yeah, they've been really on it. But I just thought it was a little weird, and I was actually surprised. And John was the one that actually said 4.0 out, so I wanted to check this out to make sure that we could talk about it here on the Zoom Test Kitchen today to let everybody know.
Yeah, well,
and John really liked the if else or if then functionality now. Your thoughts?
I mean, it's logical. That plus groups is really neat, but it also just saves me. In the past, we had a lot of times. What we did is we had one page that had the actual actions on it, and the other page that had because in the past you could do if condition true, press that button. So that's how we used to do it, and that it's now directly makes my life just easier.
Right, where triggers now become more of a. Am I doing that right? Where it's sort of there's global triggers and a button trigger now, or
triggers are always based on an event, like a variable changing, a certain time of day, sunset, sunrise, those kind of things. But what they can do with the if now, in the past, you had to create a separate button that executes your actions. And then on the button that you gave the user, you did a if condition true, press that button. And now you can all do it in one button, which is a lot simpler.
Right. And now, yeah, and it actually gives you more functionality too, that you could actually break this button triggering another button if you made a modification to that button or move the button.
Well, and like the example that I use is like, let's say you have a lower third button, right? That like every time you hit it, it like animates in a lower third and takes it out after 8 seconds. But that doesn't work in a super source. What you could do is you put an if in there that you only want to have that lower third come in if you are not on a super source.
Right. So you're quizzing the ATEM then at that particular point. Are you in super source, yes or no?
Yeah. Well, kind of. Yeah, kind of.
And then, so basically if this is okay, if this is okay and this is okay, then basically do the action. Or if this is okay and there was equals or greater than, less than, of course that would go into more variables and numbers and such, right?
Yeah.
So again, it would depend on the module, would depend on the variable that also be noticed in there too, to make sure that you trigger things properly in the if then, or if then, or if then, or any you can be doing as David was starting to do, where he clicked on it accidentally. He did an if, and then all of a sudden he added an action of another if, and he was like, "What am I doing?" So he was doing multiple ifs. But yeah, that was John walking him through how to do a quick little if and then.
Yeah, and that happens especially because like what happened in that case is that he was still looking at the last one. So like since it shows you the last action you added and the last one was the if that you added, I did that same mistake a couple times today. It's not the most intuitive, but it's totally fine.
Yeah.
So, Jonas, just a quick question again. I downloaded version 4 of Companion.
Yeah.
And then I imported a previous export. Now, if I wanted the earlier version of OSC, so it depends on the OSC module. And in Companion, you can download the older version as a module, or is it only for future going?
You can also download the older ones. They have backfilled a bunch of old modules.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
But
so
Jonas,
you obviously have to download it first and then import the module in Companion.
Well, you go to the modules within Companion, and that's where you can download the old versions.
Okay. Import module, refresh module list.
I can show you real quick.
Yeah.
So here, if you're under modules, you look for Zoom OSC, ISO, and then here you have all the different versions. So now you can download them.
Got you.
It's complaining that I just deleted a thing that it was still using. Now you see that it's using that. Yeah.
Okay, got you. Thank you. You did show that earlier, but this time of the night, it's a bit slow for me. So
I totally get that.
I'm going to shuttle into bed. Thank you, guys. I learned a lot this evening. Thank you.
No problem, Hasba. Good to see you. See you next week. Cool. So yeah. So again, I'll just do a quick little let everybody on YouTube know that we are taking questions and answers. Of course, right now we've been talking about Companion and BitFocus and the related stuff. And I guess we could actually talk about this a little bit too, Jonas. Infocom next week in US. Infocom US next week. Are you looking, is there anything that intrigues you coming up that you've heard of, or anything released that you've seen?
I mean, NDI 6.2 is pretty interesting to me, but other than that, not really.
Not really. It's pretty quiet. So basically, NAB was the big releases for you that you saw. Anything that was
also
exciting?
Not really. It was like small incremental improvements, but like our industry is not doing so well right now, so there hasn't been a lot of releases.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And there isn't a lot of incentive right now to produce great things and sell them. I expect we'll see a lot more at IBC and ISE as well. Like I saw a lot of product announcements this year, and like I do kind of think that IBC is gonna get a, like the last couple of years it was kind of treated as the forgotten child from announcements, and I think it'll ramp up this year. There's just a lot less complications, I'll call it, to get there.
To get there. Interesting. Okay. Interesting words there. To get there. All right.
Yeah, I mean, and NAB, it was quite a turbulent time to go there, and I know that a lot of vendors made the decision to not go.
Okay. Yeah. No, I understand where you're going with that, and yes, I understand what we're talking about now. And I can vouch for the yes, 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 and yes, and yes, without getting into that official topic, but yes. So absolutely. Yes, the incentive and the confusion that is out there right now is yes.
Yeah, like the problem is, you like, why would you build a hardware product right now? Like a lot of vendors are busy right now, tariff optimizing their products. Like Magic is moving around where they produce products so they can optimize it for tariffs. Other companies are doing the same. And if you want to have a bunch of busy work, I guess that's great. But like, I mean, if you have to task your engineers to like, hey, we have this great working product, could we please replace these 5 components with other components? There's not much innovation gonna come out there.
Yeah, totally fair. Totally fair. And yes, I'm seeing that every day. And of course, I can't talk about a lot of it, of course, on the Zoom Test Kitchen because of my day job. But yes, and yes. Fully understood and fully agreed to. That the industry is in a bit of a flux right now. And should there be stability soon, brands may figure it out. Let's just say. Cool. All right. And Johnny, you're awful quiet. Did you tell Jonas about your app? You haven't told Jonas about your Zoom app. You guys should compare.
What do you want me to kick him to the waiting room for putting his hand up too quickly?
Oh, I don't know if Jonas knows that. Jonas, did you catch that last week when we actually put
No.
It was, who did we put into the penalty box, John?
Oh, a beautiful young lady. And
That's right.
I've been in tears ever since for doing it to her. But
I
she
know
did want to check out the video when you enter the waiting room, so there was a reason for going out there.
Yeah, there was a reason for that. So yeah, so Johnny ended up kicking her out to the waiting room. Go for it, John. Explain it to Jonas.
Well, it's a really simple piece of software, but all of the stuff around it has been a nightmare. But in simple terms, I wrote a Zoom app that counts every time you raise your hand. And if you raise your hand too many times in a certain time scale, it kicks you.
Oh, that's cool.
Because you can't stop people raising their hands in Zoom. There is no disable. And latest thing to be done by people who want to be awkward is to keep raising their hand, which makes them bounce around the screen in the group views.
That's in the gallery, yep. So that is the new version of Zoom bombing.
That is the latest opportunity for Zoom bombing. So I've written an app that you just set the threshold, how many seconds you're going to scan for. So you, I don't know, 5 times in 10 seconds. And if they do it 5 times in 10 seconds, it either boots them to the waiting room or boots them out of the meeting.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Is it on the Zoom App Store yet?
No, it was submitted a couple of days ago. I got a response yesterday. and it's mostly wordage. Yeah, you know what it's like. Writing an app is one thing. Then you got the problem of how do you host it and get all the peripheral software around it to
Yeah.
encase it. And then the third problem you've got is you've got to do all the documentation. So there's a few things in the documentation they want me to update. So I'm going to be doing that over the weekend.
Yeah, because
Well,
Jonas, you went through this for the comms, right?
and of course, there's all the catches as well. You know, there's all these side issues you have to think of, like what happens if the person who is doing the kicking suddenly loses co-host permissions. If they lose co-host, if they cease to be a co-host or a host, they can't do the function.
Yeah.
So you have to disable it. And the one fix I've got to do over the weekend is what if somebody renames themselves? Because I've just done a list of people, and if they rename themselves, I'll still know who they are, but the person doing the kicking may not then tie them up because they've changed their name. So I've got to. So it's all the edge cases you've got to worry
Yeah.
about. But yeah, it took a week to research what was possible, a couple of days to write the bit of code, 3 weeks to do all the peripheral stuff and get the documentation ready, and I'll submit it again on Monday.
Fun.
And then you've got another one. Once you go through this process, then you've got a few more in the.
I've got about half a dozen apps now that I want to roll out.
Nice. Are you gonna sell them through the marketplace?
I can't, because I'm not an American citizen in an American company in America. And as of this moment in time, they promised big that at the moment in time, their agreement with Stripe is that you can only sell it through Zoom on if you're a US company, because that's all Stripe support. Now, I could bill people myself, but if they are, there's in the marketplace, there's now monetization, as they call it, in the Zoom marketplace. So Zoom will bill the customer for you under your rules, but you have to be an American company based in America to take that feature at the moment.
Interesting.
So I could either create my own billing system to bill customers separately myself, or I could wait. And I've decided at the moment I'm going to wait and see how long it takes.
You could also just open up a Delaware company, but
I could, but they say it's not going to be too long.
That's good. Yeah.
I'm happy to wait at the moment. They'd like you to send out free versions anyhow. I don't know how long this hand raise app will last. Although even when if Zoom fixed the problem, I think it's still got a valid use case anyhow, because there are times you're going to want to allow people to use the reaction buttons, and if somebody overuses it, it's a nice way of telling them off. We were going to have a breakout room. I was going to call it Naughty Step. So you could send them to a breakout room, Naughty Step. And I still may add that in later. But yeah.
Zoom. Again, I would want that to be renamable, because up here in Canada that would be penalty box.
We would need a translation of whatever the colloquial word is for whoever's using it. But yes, the other idea was if it was to have a place inside the meeting, so if people transgressed, you could kick them inside the meeting, and then somebody could go in and tell them off.
Got it.
That would be the third option.
And John, you'd have to make sure that it would be shut down properly too, because that was something you mentioned to me too, right?
Well, I have another app which I haven't put to the marketplace yet. The other area I looked in is I'm an expert, i.e., I actually found out how they all work, all the functions of breakout rooms. And that was another challenge given to me by, let's just say the organization that asked me about the hand raise was anonymous. Can we say that? That's probably the polite way of saying it. In other words, open, something anonymous. They have lots of people. They can't control what's coming in, so they need a way of policing it. But I was in another meeting with a group of businesses, small businesses, who are doing marketing. We were doing networking in the breakout rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, somebody said to me, I spoke to that person. Why can't I speak to somebody else? And of course, I then realized that the random control in breakout rooms for Zoom is just random. But there's no context for anything else that's happened. It's
Yeah.
just a random sort. So I learned how all the calls work in the breakout rooms, all the different functions you can use in the breakout rooms. And then I got ChatGPT to give me a good algorithm. And because I couldn't be bothered to think of which way I was going to do it myself. And so I now have a breakout room app that puts you into breakout rooms, and you come back, and then if you want to put it's sent back out into breakout rooms again, it randomizes, but it also validates. If you've been into a breakout room with that person already, it puts you in another breakout room.
That's neat.
So if you've got a networking group or a get to know you type session, then you're going to do it multiple times during the meeting. The idea is that you don't meet the same person twice until you've run out of people to meet. So that's another little app I've done.
So
And of course, as
again,
soon as I showed that to people and used it in meetings, you know what it's like. People come up with a dozen different ideas of how they would like to reconstitute breakout room sessions.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I'm still. I keep missing Zoom OSC for Windows. Like we do a lot of like mass Zoom things right now, and even just like needing to sign into and opening up an app in what was it, 40 instances gets a little tiresome. That's where Zoom OSC was great, but we can't always have nice things.
Well, we'll get it sorted. We'll get it sorted.
We'll get it sorted. Yeah.
We'll get it
John,
sorted.
so again too, I was also go ahead.
It's
John.
a voyage of discovery is my favorite quote for playing around with the Zoom developers kit.
Yeah, that's fair.
But once you understand a particular set of component commands to do something, then you just get blown away with the things you can get up to. But you have to learn a particular set of commands and how they work to understand how Zoom works. But it is good fun. It is good fun.
That's pretty neat.
And yeah.
So Jonas, how is the Zoom community taking up comms? The Zoom comms app?
Not really yet.
Okay. Any reasoning that you can come up with at this point? Is it just?
I think it's just taking time. I mean, you will want a majority, and like one of the things we are working on is like an app. So,
well, I understand, and it's been said on the internet on YouTube, so I can say it. I understand that Elgato are getting or have been given a toolkit to allow them to talk to Zoom without needing Zoom OSC.
Well,
I'm not allowed. The other things that I would like to say, I'm not allowed to say. I don't think I should say, and I won't say. But let's just say that if that is a product that comes out, I think that will kickstart a revolution in using Stream Decks, which of course is what Elgato want. But I think that will also kickstart a load of people thinking, flipping heck, what, we got this little button box now, we can do all these amazing things with Zoom. And I think it will push people on to start thinking, oh, what else can I do? And that hopefully will open the market.
I am excited for more native tools for hardware manufacturers being able to speak to Zoom. And also, like, at some point, I hope that we're going to see a plugin framework like Zoom Cuts uses.
You want to say that again? Was that Zoom Cuts?
What?
Did you say Zoom Cuts, Jonas? Or what was that? You said Zoom?
Yeah, isn't that what it's called? Zoom Cuts?
Zoom Cuts? Okay, so the actual you're talking the mini videos within the Zoom system.
No, that's Zoom Clips. Zoom Cuts is a liminal app right now that is only on macOS that uses Apple shortcuts
Oh,
Yeah, that will not exist anywhere else. That will not exist anywhere else.
and it's because of the
The
Mac
liminal guys are only
infrastructure.
writing in Mac. They are not writing in any other language. That's
Yeah.
why this announcement from Elgato is important, because it gives us a app that runs across the way, and it is a toolkit, which I'm guessing, from what I know about Zoom, unfortunately nobody's told me anything about, so I'm guessing that once Elgato have the toolkit and they start getting some sales, that toolkit may be available to others in the future. But I'm guessing that it's going to be only given to them to start with, so they can kickstart it all. Because that's what I would do. So that makes sense to me. Give it to them. Get them to natively have Zoom commands running on all the Stream Decks, and then when that looks so wonderful that as it obviously will be, other hardware manufacturers are going to start thinking, "Oh, maybe I should have native Zoom compliance in that way."
Yeah.
And then,
Go ahead.
there's no reason why somebody couldn't write some logic and give you your Zoom cuts. But I don't think Zoom cuts itself is going to be handed out.
I don't think Zoom cuts itself, but
No.
it's interesting how Zoom cuts on macOS works nowadays. That it's no longer a separate client.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't been talking about Zoom cuts in a while. We talked about it right when it was launched, and then the Zoom Test Kitchen community very, 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 very quiet on Zoom cuts. They never picked it up. Again, of course, it being Mac based probably did a good chunk of hurting that product in itself, because it was, as we had to talk about here on Zoom Test Kitchen, we had to talk about it that it was Mac only. So that did turn off a lot of the Zoom Test Kitchen community that got burnt by.
I mean, what else would you do on Windows? It's not like Windows has a intent framework like Mac OS has.
Yeah, it's the Mac system is built for this use case.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was nice chatting to you, and I'll keep watching on YouTube someday. And sometimes I'll just jump in.
Cool, Jonas. Thanks for jumping in, buddy. We appreciate it.
Bye.
That's all right. We'll put your magic lamp away.
And poof, there he goes. He's
Yeah.
back in the genie.
The
Jonas
genie has
in the
disappeared
bottle.
again.
That's right. When Jonas back in the bottle, right?
Yeah, you never know which genie is going to come back next time.
That's right. Right. So, Tom, tell us how the testing's been going on during the Zoom Test Kitchen. You've been successful?
Yeah, it's been good. I don't know what happened, but I had two client events that I ran through Zoom ISO with the LiveMind recorder, and for some reason it kept on stopping the recording with no indication, or it was not recording all of the inputs that it should have. So
Okay.
I've got a backup of the Zoom cloud recordings, and one of them so long story short, it seems to be working just fine. It's done let's see. It's done 466 gigabytes for channel 1 through 9, or NDI source 1 through 9. So
Which again is specifically what you've done at your end.
yes.
Right.
And so
Yeah. Just for, again, Tom, the reason I'm saying that for the YouTube audience, because they'll go, where's he getting the numbers from? So I'm just making sure that everybody understands. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Here. So for those that are not familiar with LiveMind Recorder, Zoom is not going to show me the Zoom ISO setup. I don't think it's going to let me share the Zoom ISO screens. I never saw that option to be able to share Zoom screens show back up. That's been frustrating.
Okay. So you're trying to do a share using Zoom ISO?
Well, a share so that you can see the Zoom ISO. So
Okay.
I'm just going to try the desktop. Are you guys seeing the Zoom ISO window there?
Yep.
We do see the share. Yeah, we see all the different inputs. I see I'm in there twice. Yep. Go ahead.
Okay, but you don't see the Zoom ISO application. Getting
It's a
that.
little small for me because I've got you on the teleprompter, but go ahead.
No,
No.
just the recorder that you've
Yeah, you
just.
see LiveMind Recorder where you see
Yeah.
you guys there.
Yeah.
And I was trying to show so if I go back to my switcher here, you can see I've got Zoom ISO version 2 running.
Yeah.
And what I was getting at was I'm not able to get it to show me the Zoom environment, the
Okay.
Zoom app windows themselves in a screen share. Anyhow, sorry. So this app, it's called LiveMind Recorder. Essentially, you can choose from and this is Macintosh only, unfortunately.
Maybe you have to share the Zoom windows when you share it because it's seen as a Zoom app.
I'm not seeing that option when I go to share.
When you go to share, it's on the right hand side under layouts. There's a thing called share options, and at the bottom of that, there's one says share Zoom windows.
And I only have share sound and optimize for video sharing.
Tom, what version are you running?
I'm on. Oh, sorry. Now that's in the background of the share. 241.
Ooh.
Zoom ISO version 2, specifically 241. So the most recent version.
Okay.
Of Zoom ISO.
Of Zoom ISO. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to say the client we're up to 6.4.12, but yeah, go ahead. Sorry, continue.
Right.
So again, it might be a limitation that Liminal has not added that into Zoom ISO. That functionality, but it's in our client where John was showing you that.
It's in the client. It's in the client,
Right.
but not sorry. Within Zoom
That's
ISO, people can just Google Zoom ISO to find it, and they can see some screenshots there. But basically, you can pump out individual channels for each participant, and you can specify a given participant to go into a given window. So going back here and showing my Zoom ISO environment. I'm sorry, the LiveMind environment. Go desktop. So in the LiveMind environment, essentially you would see an individual's picture. We only have 2 people showing their window right now. I'll turn the screen share on for the recorder to record screen share. It does say active screen share. So why is that not showing the active screen share? I'm wondering if the 241 update of Zoom ISO has caused some. Let's see.
Yeah, Tom, actually, I'm getting an update from James in YouTube. He's got a suggestion. He says there should be show Zoom windows during screen share. Has to be enabled on the Zoom client profile. I'm thinking he's talking about that's related to a min, I think is what James is meaning by that. But again, just for everybody that you can see me twice on the share, just to let you know that this is Zoom ISO and it's its own Zoom client, and it's not fully up to it. It doesn't follow, I'll use that terminology in quotation marks, the same rules as the Zoom client does, because it was a snapshot of time when Zoom ISO was made, that it was at X version of the infrastructure. So there may not be that functionality, or it could have been.
Or it may be in a different place.
It may be in a different place, or even Liminal did not include it for whatever reason.
Right.
Right.
Right. So
Go ahead, Tom.
you can see I've got I turned my camera on here and I just added myself as one of the video sources.
Yep.
And so then the bottom corner, I was getting confused because I was seeing source number 9. That is the active screen share. So then this will record an individual Now it says a .mov.ndi or .mov file, but it's a
Yeah.
special type of file, of QuickTime file. It's not your standard QuickTime file. And in fact, a Mac will not play that video file back natively, which is interesting. You can watch it in something like VLC, or you have to use something like
Okay.
the encoder to convert
Okay.
it to something that
Yeah.
can be used. But you can
Tom, I can explain why. It's basically that the QuickTime player doesn't have the codec, video and audio codec built into it, where VLC does.
right.
That's just me for coming from the streaming world. That I do know.
Yeah.
So, so again, what I would do is, does it actually give you on that screen the actual MOV? Does it actually tell you does it go detailed enough to tell you the video and audio codec? Does it say like it's H.264, et cetera, et cetera?
No, it is different than that.
If not, I've got it. If not, I can actually tell you about an app that I've told everybody about, which is called Media Info. Is that what you just pulled up?
Yeah, that's what I was pulling up here.
Yeah, Video Info is the best because it will never lie to you what's actually in the actual file.
Oh, this is interesting. It's not showing me. What the heck?
Are the files still being written to?
No, I went to a different event.
Oh, okay. Then it should be. I've never seen Media Info not.
There we go.
There we go. That's better. So Tom, what that also tells me too is that, again, I'm going to go a little stream geeky on you, is that at the end of the file, it abruptly did not end properly. So that file to you is actually right now garbage until it's fixed.
Right.
Right.
So
So
it's
unless if it didn't have a chance to write the actual Media Info information that you're seeing now into the file, then that tells me that something happened.
Yep.
That for whatever reason, it's not that the file is necessarily corrupt, but you would have to use some tools to be able to get what was in it out of it. Because right now, the container, which is the MOV container, is dumb.
Yeah.
Right now, the information at the MOV container, it doesn't know what's inside it.
Yep.
So that's what that is telling you. Go ahead. Sorry, Tom.
So the just for people's awareness, the codec is SHQ7. So that is the NDI raw codec, is the SHQ7. So anyhow, the issue that I was having was that the event, for some reason, it kept on, let's see, was it this one? Yeah, during this event, it wasn't starting the recording on every single one of the channels like it was supposed to. Channels 1 through 9, or Zoom ISO 1 through 9.
Yeah.
No, maybe it wasn't that one. The heck.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did a quick look up what SHQ7 for the YouTube audience is, and that is officially, I know it as Speed HQ, the actual. So that's the SHQ, and that is SHQ, and it happens to be that they're using version 7 of that codec. That's what that reference was, and again, it seems to be. It's not specific to any specific, like it's not NDI didn't make it. So, but NDI is using it, and it is quite an older codec and not widely used. So those two things are interesting
for NDI. That's the only use that I've been able to. That's the only use that I've come across it. So, anyhow, whatever was happening, whether it was like a USB cable that I was using that was not fully rated for Thunderbolt 3 or 4, or if there was something going on, I don't know what it was. And so that's why today I was like, okay, I'm going to hop on and I'm going to see if I can just do a recording and see if it looks like it's recording everything correctly. And it does, because it is continuing to grow for all of the all of the video files themselves.
Right. Right. But
has-
again, right now they know like your Mac knows that it's an MOV.
Yeah.
But it's not smart enough to understand what the codecs are in there right now until you stop. And if you don't stop it properly through
Yeah, it doesn't
the
end
system,
the file.
it'll corrupt them all.
Yeah.
Right. Because it
So-
has to write that end bits to it. I don't want to go too geeky for the YouTube audience, but yeah, there are packets / data that are dumped at the end of the file that most players will look at. And that's why you were saying VLC. Yes, VLC has, I don't know VLC that doesn't have any codec. Like if VLC doesn't play it, I get worried. There's only one other program that I would then trust. And that would be, again, you're familiar with Media Info. The other one that I would fully trust is the MPEG, FFmpeg. You might have heard of that. They actually have an FF Play product as well that you can actually download with FFmpeg. And FF Play, if FF Play doesn't know about it, which means FFmpeg doesn't know about it, then chances of you recovering that file are non-existent. It's pretty much, you have to write that file off. But it's interesting that they are, so that's bringing it in raw over NDI is what you're telling me, and they're just saving it raw into that MOV.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see it's just on my internal NIC. It's doing it via the network as opposed to like recording to a drive on a standard drive sort of thing. But you can see, so it's sending, 52 megabits up and then pulling down the 41, whatever it is, the higher. And
so are you running NDI full bandwidth or are you running NDI HX? I don't know if ISO is specific enough to give you a difference.
Yeah, it does not. You only have you can.
I have this feeling it's probably HX, but if Andy's watching, Andy can correct me on that one. But HX is more easier to put into knowing hardware as I do. It's easier to put into an encoder because in this case, you're using the PC as the encoder, so it's in the software. Where NDI, full bandwidth NDI has been initially, the initial usage of it has been for, it's a dedicated chip, as if you had like a Dante chip in the unit. So it'd be the same type of, that's where more NDI, the true NDI full bandwidth are usually NDI chips that are within the gear, that's its strict job of doing NDI and that's it. But in other when you get into like the NDI HX world, usually that is a shared encoder that happens to have NDI capabilities.
Yeah.
Now, if you are having problems with NDI, I did learn something this week, which I did not know. And this is very, very important, is that especially if you're running it over a network, it is most important to have at minimal the source location and your destination location to be in time sync. So make sure that so if you're on a Mac, make sure you go to, sync up with a time server on the internet on both machines, on both pieces of hardware. Then you should have less, not necessarily 100% to just fix things, but it makes it better. And if you can go that one step further, that is using what we call network time protocol. If you want to go that one step further, and this is why Dante has been doing so well for years, they use what they call PTP, which is precision time protocol. And that goes to the nanosecond, and it actually syncs things up. NDI does understand both, but by default, it will normally go to NTP first before it goes. It will recognize if PTP is on the network as well, but if it'll fall back to NTP, where a lot of like a Dante may or may not go to NTP. It's actually going to look for a proper PTP clock. And that should reduce the possibilities, because again, how it was explained to me is that so basically the packet that's at the source, then you have your packet that's going to destination. The destination, if the source is out of sync time wise, the source actually might be further ahead than the destination. And of course, there's always going to be time between the two machines too. Of course, you want to make that minimized as much as possible too. So the destination is always going to look for that next packet, right? Now, should it ever get a packet, should it never get a packet, let me do this right now. Should it never get a packet in time based on its local time, it'll ignore it. And that's where you might get a drop or you start having audio and video out of sync. So it's very, very important to have a really good, robust network. When you're using any AV over IP, which is audio video over IP, including NDI, but make sure that you can at least minimally make sure that your primary, if it's an NDI camera, if it's an NDI, insert here, and then you're sending to X PC, in this case, your Mac, making sure that both of them are at least have been in sync somewhere to an actual time server that is also in sync with the international clock, especially if you start using NDI sources from other remote locations that are not physically at the same location you are at. Hope that helps. Cool. Yeah, we actually had a lot of people listening to me there. That's great. YouTube audience, that's great. You came back. So they're checking. That could be David coming to check on us, John, to see if we're still here.
I can confirm I'm still here.
You can confirm you're still here? That's good. Tom,
Yep.
I hope that helps.
Yeah, I have a cursory knowledge of a lot of that, so I appreciate that. I think I was just running into a hardware issue over.
Yeah, again, you've got to be careful too that you don't overload the actual Mac M insert here, whatever Mac you're running,
Yep.
processor wise too, because again, that's always going to be the bottleneck too, is that because the GPU is also in the CPU of the Mac, your mileage will vary on that too. Johnny, go ahead.
Just for record, Tom, what Mac are you running?
It's a M1.
Okay.
So it will max out at 9 sources if I had. I don't know what it scales up to with LiveMind Recorder, what it scales up to with M2 or M3 or an M4, but the more powerful the processor, the more lines you can run through the NDI recording.
Okay.
Right. And on top
I've
of
got
that
a
too,
Mac Mini, and I want to get a feel for how far you can push it. It's the base level Mac Mini. It's not the base level. It's got the hacked extra RAM.
Which base model Mac Mini?
The $600 one. The base, the Mac Mini, the latest Mac Mini, mini, little
Okay.
mini.
M3, M4, John?
I can't remember what it was now. M4, isn't it? The little Mac Mini.
Probably.
Within the last 6 months, 3 months?
Yeah, it's M4.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So your mileage may vary compared to Tom's because again he's on a M1 chip. But again, Tom, of course, if you should, just as a reminder too, of course, it's going to be based on the actual physical network layer as well. So
Right.
my always suggestion is, of course, never pushing it more than 80/20 is my network rule is that if you're on a gigabit network that's 800 meg, no more, no less, you're in danger zone if you're going above that.
Yeah.
So yeah, all that fun stuff like that there. Yeah, and Roland's actually saying an M4. So Roland's still watching us from Jamaica. Hello, Roland. He was joining us earlier in the actual kitchen. He was here as one of the panelists, but he's watching us on YouTube. Good to see you again, Roland. Thanks for coming. And I don't know what was happening, why you took so long to join in, but that was good. But yes, that's why David mentioned it earlier. If everybody's been watching since the beginning, I had actually let I let Roland in. There we go. And Zoom was taking a long time, and Roland didn't notice any difference of coming into the meeting. So that was interesting, but it did take a while to come in. Don't know why. But John, we've had good news. I'm going to knock on wood that we did not get kicked off YouTube this week. That's awesome. But again, I believe we are strictly using, I will double check how David has this configured right now. Yeah, officially we are an active stream from, yeah, we are active stream within the client. So he did not go to this streaming app this week. But I did notice earlier, so I'll talk about this briefly, that when your name came up from on my YouTube screen, I noticed that it was actually starting to cut off your, as everybody knows that is watching YouTube right now, in the lower left, you'll see down there, where am I? Nope, down, nope, that direction. There we go. Down here, you'll see my name is down there in the bottom left there. It was actually cutting off John's character. So the font that Zoom is using to send to YouTube our names, it was starting to cut that off on YouTube. I thought that was kind of interesting. Why? Don't know. But I noticed that it's not doing it for my name, but it seems to be doing it for John's. So the font that, oh, and I swear I just heard myself, John. Is that true?
Yeah, you did. That was you.
That was you checking us out on YouTube? Excellent. So John, go ahead and say something and I'll take a look and see what it looks like. See if that's changed or if that's still the same.
Well, I don't know. We'll have a look then, shall we?
Yep, still the same. I just saw it.
You saw it? Crikey, you're
Yep.
seeing it quickly. I'm obviously not as live as you are. Well, I'll keep talking because I want to see it. You saw it. I'm waiting. I've got to wait 30 seconds now, have I? Oh, bumpy dumpty 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 dum.
And I'll spotlight you so for sure won't go anywhere. How's that?
Oh, definitely appear. I want to see what appears now. This is
Yeah,
almost
John Drinkwater,
exciting.
even a longer name is up there now.
Yeah.
You see how the J is cut off?
Yes, the curly bits. Yeah.
Yeah. You see how the bottom part of the J is actually cut off?
Yeah, they got the curly border, haven't they? And it makes it look more like an eye.
It does. Yeah, I noticed that earlier. Again, I'm as the YouTube audience know, I'm forever in chat. So of course, if you do have any questions for us, because I noticed that we're starting to climb, our watchers are actually watching us on YouTube. We're the biggest audience we've had all day so far. So that's good. If you haven't checked this out earlier, definitely do. David actually went through the different methods of the brand new chat that came into that is now available for Zoom meetings. So it is now tabbed where before it was not. So yeah, definitely check that out. We spent a good first portion of the show on that. So definitely check that out if you did miss that earlier, and welcome to everybody that's come. And of course, if you do have any questions for Frank, John, Tom, or I, definitely let us know because we're definitely taking questions and answers before we wrap up the show for this week. Let me know in YouTube chat.
So I thought I'd get rid of a chat conversation I had.
Yeah, what I did notice, and when people left, John, I did notice that the actual tabbed chat. So I had a tabbed chat with, actually, I do have right now with David, and it actually says David Paskin left.
Yeah, but you can't delete it.
And correct. It is now dormant, but it's there. That is correct. I cannot delete it. Correct.
Because he made it.
Right. But even no, and here's okay, fine.
And I can't,
fair.
and I sent a message to Jonas and I can't delete that. And I made the private message. So I can't delete it either. And
Right.
it's my
Yeah, I was gonna
message.
say I did that with Erin too. I did that with Erin too, and I can't delete hers either. So that must be for archival purposes that they don't want to let you delete it because they've gone.
Why not?
That's
We can delete the other ones.
Let me see.
Try and delete
one
the
that I
personal
made
chats between you and me. That you can delete that one, I bet.
okay. I can add members to that. That is all. I think it might be related to how David modified this setting. Let me double check that.
It's everyone and anyone directly it's the ultimate setting at the moment.
Right, you're right. Yeah, it is set that way. That's right. Yes, because I made John co-host when David left. That's right. Yeah, so it set everyone. Yeah, I cannot get rid of that one. I can only add members.
So I've just sent a message to Tom, and I can't delete that. But I deleted one earlier.
Interesting. I can actually the per David's request group that I made earlier when David was doing the testing. That one I can delete.
Okay.
And I can delete the message as well.
But can you delete the group that the message is being put into?
Don't know what version you're running, Tom. That's the
Yeah,
question.
since I'm in Zoom ISO, I don't think I'm seeing these groupings.
Right.
No, I don't think
Right.
you are.
Yeah, because this
it's
is
not
only
available
as
for-
of this latest version. Because we had that with Earn, she was 2 versions behind in the client, and we couldn't do certain things with her either.
They'll need a new release of Zoom ISO if they're going to support this. But
Yeah.
as the saved meeting information is the same, it could be that the data is the same. However, I don't even want to do it. If I went over to my other machine and tried to read the chat, I've got a feeling that there's a few friends of mine who are up a paddle without a creek.
Yeah.
Because all those people that are using the Chrome plugin to read the chat to make sense of it, I wonder if that's completely broken now because now everything's being displayed in a different way, or whether they can make sense of it. I'm guessing that they are stuffed because they were cheating.
And they were screen
hold
scraping
on.
instead of OSC.
No, they won't. No, at the moment it will work because they are using a box, a browser version of Windows they are running, and if that is still using the old chat, they will be okay at the moment. But there is a problem coming.
But yeah, there is a problem coming. But you'd have to be careful too that you'd have to stay in the main chat because they are screen scraping within the box. And if they went into a group in that
but the
box,
boxes don't exist.
Pulling that chat out.
Yeah, but the boxes at the moment don't exist in the old version because we've seen that because Erin showed us her screen and David showed his old version. So they're in the moment in the old version, so they can still screen scrape through the Chrome plugin because they're in the old version. But at some point, that's going to be moved. That Windows version is going to be updated.
Right.
And the Windows version of Zoom is going to come to this chat. When it does, that's when the Chrome plugin will break. So as long as they keep in the older version for today, they can get away with it. But they've got an upcoming problem.
Right. Right. Because that's right. Yeah, you're right. Because they're going in through the browser. They're not going in via the client.
Correct.
They're going in,
it's a browser plugin because the hand holding thing. The first way I demonstrated that I could hack into the code was actually to write a Chrome plugin to watch for the character that gets displayed on the little participant screen to say somebody's raised their hand. That was the first way I proved that I could get access to the code. And then, of course, I dug deeper into the API and found a neater way of doing it.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah,
Thanks.
the first way I went was the same way as they use for their way of getting hold of the chat.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very cool and
And by
interesting.
Tom.
Yeah, and Tom just left, and I'm glad he was able to do some
And
testing so
and his
that he can
ISO
use
went
it
with
for
him.
next game. What's that,
And
John?
his
Sorry,
ISO went with him.
and his ISO went him. That is true. No, not yet. It's still active.
Oh, okay.
Oh no. Oh no, that's right. It did act. That's interesting. I'm still being told there's 2 active streams, but yet it did disappear. Interesting. Huh. Okay. Could that be another bug? That might be a bug, John.
Oh no, it's not a bug.
Are you
It's
seeing that up
known.
there?
It's a feature if it's known.
It's a feature that it's got the number 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was right
if you know
before.
got a problem, it's a feature. That's a
I was gonna
documented
say
bug
it
is a
was right
feature.
before, but it's not right anymore because it's got the number 2 up there still, and it hasn't modified itself. You seeing that as co-host?
No, I'm not
Active
seeing that.
streams. You see the active streams, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, sorry, yes I am.
Yeah, and it's got the
It's
number
got the
2 in
two.
there still.
Although if you click the down box, I only see one.
Right, which is our main one, which is hi everybody.
Yeah.
That's our main one.
Which is the one which is still working. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the one that's still working. Yeah.
Careful. You raised your hand then. I might my code might kick you by mistake.
Oh, what was that? Sorry, I didn't hear you. What did you say?
No, it won't be able to.
I know.
You're not valid. You're not a valid
I know.
person.
I know. Understood. So, okay. All right. So, last call to our friends on YouTube before we wrap it up for this week's Zoom Test Kitchen. So, one more time, if you have any last minute questions or answers, let us know in chat and we'll be able to answer you quickly before we wrap up for this week's Zoom Test Kitchen.
Sorry, I just got thrown because the new version of my app is actually installed on the machine without me even installing it. It's very, very weird, this, where stuff comes from.
Terrible.
Because I've recompiled it on that machine there, so this means this app is automatically updated. Very, very spooky the way the whole thing works. So I've got
is that genie in the bottle stuff again? What are you doing to me?
I've got 4 versions of the app. And I probably have to keep 4 versions of the app forever. So I've got an app, I've got a version of it that runs locally on that machine. I've got a second version that I am running on that machine, which allows me to test whether it works in the big wide world. Then I've got a third version of it, which I have to give to Zoom, which is my beta version. And then I have to have a 4th version, which is my production version. And developers, please take note, you must have a separate developer and production version. Otherwise, how can Zoom test if your software in the beta version works? Which hand was it? That one. How can they test that your beta version is good before you then replace your production version? And if you have the 2 together, then Zoom can't test your new version and you can't release it because you're trying to do 2 things with the same bit of code.
Right. So, John, here's a question. Did the latest client cause you any grief for your app?
No, because no APIs were hurt in the update of this release.
There you go.
Well, no APIs that I have anything to do with.
Right.
Although I have actually found a bug in my code. No, I haven't found a bug. I found a workaround in my code. So I've got to fix that.
Okay. All right. So we do have a last minute.
We have a last minute fix because you can, if somebody rename themselves, then the app only picks up the name when they first join. So if somebody renamed themselves, then the person using it would get confused because it would tell them that one person's name was invalid and they would be operating in the thing under another name. So I need to resync the names if the names change.
Right. Cool. So Ronnie, we see you out there, and Ronnie's got a question, John.
Oh, yes.
All right. Anyone use closed caption translation in a meeting where participants will choose their respective language for captions? I tried, could not get it to work. Interesting. Rodney would need a little more info on what couldn't you get to work. Because if I turned on closed captioning for us now, and I choose save, officially that should actually Now captioning is happening and we're now in English. And John, yeah, so
We?
yeah, I'm just trying to think. Oh, here we go. All right. And he's saying, yeah, we,
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
oh, yeah, yeah, it's giving me everything in English. That's interesting.
Non.
All right.
Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça? It's not
Yeah.
translating me. There we are. Picked it up there. My French
Did
is
it?
almost good enough for the AI to pick it up, but it displayed it in French.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you can even see it, John, on YouTube right now. It's actually because I told everything to be English. It's doing it. It's still putting everything in English as the main language. So Ronnie, you should now see the closed captioning being burned in because I've now turned closed captioning on within the meeting. As the host, I purchased the add-on. Okay, so this will be the closed captioning translation add-on.
Yeah.
And license that account. Okay,
Yep.
so make sure you went into the admin and made sure that the host of that meeting had the translation license added to that person. All right, so I'm making sure that if you didn't do that, that would be the first thing. And all clients could enable closed captioning. Okay, that's good. And then select their language, but only errors, language not supported. Language not supported would sound like to me that it's one of the languages that might not be available in the translation license feature. John, any thoughts?
No, not really. I haven't really used the captions for translations.
Yeah.
Because I can only really
Frank,
speak one language, computer.
Yeah. And Frank was actually saying, he says, you need to buy the add-on. As far as I understand, Frank, Rodney is actually saying that he did purchase the actual add-on. So that is definitely ruled out on this.
You have to all set your local language.
Right, within the actual client.
Yeah.
Within the workplace client.
And I would expect if you purchase the translation package, I would expect that to be correct working.
Yeah. And by default, mine is got set up English. And that was my first option as soon as I clicked on the closed captioning tab. Now, because I've turned it on for our meeting and we're also going to YouTube, we're in English. But if I did change it to, as a good example would be for Canada, switching it to French Canadian, now you will now start to see here momentarily on YouTube that officially we're now going to be in French because we're already seeing that it's being translated from English into French. Not well, though, is it, John?
I don't know that much French, but I can tell you that is not a translation of what you just said.
No.
This is not what I expected.
And it's asking me now, it says, it sounds like you might have switched to a different language. Please update so we can provide better quality transcription. Should I save, John, and say French Canada?
I think you're supposed to say what language you're speaking.
Right.
So if you say French, then it's going to.
Yeah, so I'm going to put it back to English. Okay, and then it took it back to English.
Yeah, but remember, it's going to be different for you than me. So if you say French, then it would expect you to speak in French and me to speak in a language which it then converts to French.
Right. So John Rodney is actually saying, he says, yes, the host language selection is working. Okay, good. Just like it's doing for me. But not for each client. So John, can you choose a different language while I leave this in English and see what it does?
Oui.
And we'll see what happens, Rodney. I know in the past, when it comes to YouTube, YouTube doesn't like it. So whatever in the Zoom backend doesn't like it, when it starts burning in the actual closed captioning that you're seeing on YouTube right now, the next person that actually changes the language it did change it to that language. I've seen that a few times when monitoring the Zoom test kitchen when somebody's done that, and it's actually physically turned the language into that person's based on that person's language. Why? Don't know. It's one of those mysteries that we've done, and that looks very Slovakian type. John, where did you
That
go with
was
that?
Russian.
It was. Okay. So you'll see again, yes. So you'll see that now on YouTube now that officially the translation turned into Russian. Rodney
Oui.
saying, we got,
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
yeah, so I'm just catching up to, so James is actually making a comment about Norwegian
Okay.
is not supported as a
Les
source
enfants.
language. And yes, you hear John's testing in the background here. Cannot be a source language as they are not yet supported for automated captioning. Okay, and then Rodney made a comment. Host only define floor language. Source is English, but I would like it to read Norwegian closed captioning, and that is supported but not working. So annoying.
Okay. Well, I had mine set as French. I taught French into it, and it created French, and it translated your English to French
Properly.
So, as good as my French is to understand, oui.
Right. So yeah. So right now, yeah, le président. Interesting. That's talking about president. That's interesting.
It keeps saying that.
So yeah, that's yeah. So as you can see right now, we still got it in French mode. Why? Because again, John, whatever language John was choosing, not because he's co-host, but because we've had it where panelists at the Zoom Test Kitchen as well have chosen to have closed captioning turned on, and they've turned it into their language, and sure enough, that actually changes on YouTube as well.
Yeah,
So
I've even tried to play TikTok stuff into it and get it to translate what the TikTok people are speaking in different languages, like an instant translator, and not found it that effective always.
yeah, and right now I'm again as host now. I'm now going to go back in and force it go back to English now, so that we're now burning in English going forward. So, Ronnie, it sounds like you got your answer to that when it's specific to Norwegian, anyways. It's unfortunate, but yes, at this particular point, it sounds like that is one of the languages still outstanding that Zoom has not included yet in that paid add-on.
I would contact sales, tell them
Yeah.
which languages you want, and ask them what they expect to charge you and what service they're going to give you.
Yeah. Again, if you had the assumption that all languages are included in the language add-on, you might have been a bit misled by sales on that regards. So you might want to double check. And I believe there is a support doc, John, correct me if I'm wrong, that has a list of all the translations, languages.
Yes.
That sounds like a good thing to look up, actually. Let me see if I'm right. Zoom.us. Go. Before we close off the show, we'll close out the show by finding that. Translation, caption, languages.
You do have to enable translation.
You have to enable in the admin, and as well for the licensee would have to be able to make sure they have the license for that translation, correct?
The quick notes comes out from me. Or is it?
Yeah, James is making a comment too, where he's right, saying that if it is listed and selectable, but it's not working, then yeah, definitely request a refund or definitely open a support ticket.
Yeah. Support document says join the meeting, show captions, choose a speaking language, optional, select enable translation checkbox.
Right.
I'm assuming that only
Which-
appears if you have paid for, and then
Translation.
click save. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, that's correct, John. And basically, but again, you have to make sure that the host has that license. Most important.
What
As
was the
that-
language you
as
said
that-
that? What was the language you said you was trying to
Norwegian.
learn? Okay. Okay, I know my alphabet pretty well, and Norwegian is not in the supported list for automated captions.
Do you have a link to that, Johnny? I can share with you
will
too.
give you the link that you can share to YouTube. Now you see, I don't know which chat tab to send it to you on. There's so many.
Yeah, I was going to say, make sure you send it to the main chat and you'll definitely get it to me. There we go. All right. So
Yeah, Norwegian's not on the list.
Yeah. So go ahead, John, talk while I'm just writing this quickly onto.
Yeah, so you show captions, captions and translation, view transcripts, so you can get the transcript. You get a full transcript if transcript is available. It doesn't say it's going to. I think the transcript is going to translate. Is going to take whatever you've translated and put it into the transcript. So if you flip from one language to another, that's going to make the transcript look silly.
Sorry about that, YouTube. I actually had to put into two chats because of unfortunately how long the URL is.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think you needed all of it.
Oh, okay.
I didn't try cutting it down.
That's all right. They'll get to it, John.
I think you only need the first bit. Let me just check that. Yeah. Yeah, here's a simpler URL for you.
Up to the.
Oh, I should have hit the copy perm link. I must always remember that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, right after the KB number. Yeah, I'll do that again.
The KB is the actual document number, and the rest of it's just search and whatever a script. So don't worry about the rest of it.
Yeah, and Ronnie's saying he says I'll set up a demo for next Friday. Okay, absolutely, John. Absolutely,
May
Ronnie.
we? Yeah.
We would love to see that. And again, too, that would
grab
actually
a recording of somebody speaking in a foreign language so we can try it properly.
Yeah, absolutely. Ronnie, we appreciate it, of course.
Yeah, I'll get one of
any
my Russian
information
friends.
we can give back to the Zoom Test Kitchen community, of course.
Ukrainian friends.
Absolutely.
I'll get one of my Ukrainian friends to because it's always much more fun if it's got a different character set to play with.
Absolutely.
I know I think it's 5 Ukrainian words, so don't get very good conversations from my Ukrainian friends.
I may have to test you in after hours.
Oh dear. But then I find you foreign language people always like to practice English. So whenever I go to these computer shows and there's people from around the world, they all want us to practice English. So I never get a chance to practice my French or my German. So apart from being able to get my room at the hotel and order a beer, there's not much I can do in most of these foreign languages.
Right. All right. If that is all for our Zoom Test Kitchen this week from our YouTube audience, I'll do one more last quick call. If not, we're going to wrap it up and we'll do our song of the week at the end here.
Oh, I have to get a foreign version.
You want a foreign version? You want it in a different language? Our Zoom Test Kitchen?
Yeah, I want an Italian version of Zoom Test Kitchen.
That's kind of cool. All righty, Johnny, anything else? Frank, anything else before we wrap up?
No, I don't think
anything to look out for this coming week?
Yeah.
Before we meet again?
Yeah, watch out. You never know. Touching wood, cross legs and whatever, it is theoretically possible that the hand raise app will be live by next week. It is theoretically possible.
In the
Chances
Zoom
are pretty small.
marketplace.
In the Zoom marketplace.
All right, you heard it here first on the Zoom Test Kitchen, buddy.
But I've got to get all the wording right in all the documents. And if I get it perfect, in theory, they could approve it by next week. I don't think it's going to, because again, it's like everything in Zoom, isn't it? You've got to understand and go through the process 2 or 3 times to really have it under control. But yeah, in theory, if I get all the answers to their questions correct, it might even be live by next week.
Very cool.
So if you're a awkward spammer, sticking your hand up and down, disrupting meetings, you're on notice, dear friends. Your time is coming.
Your time is there. Yeah.
Because the
you'll have to come up with a different way of disturbing people.
Yeah, and then we'll be after you again. And remember, next time we're going to be quicker, because now we've gone through this process. We're now getting quicker and quicker at developing the stuff. So,
yeah.
And
alrighty, John.
That's it, really.
The
only interesting side effect is it runs. If you've got the app, you can use it on anybody's meeting as long as you're a co-host or a host. It's not tied to the person who licenses the app. It's the user who has the app who can use it anywhere they're made a co-host.
Yeah, so that's very important as well. So yes, John, you're not asking for any specific information.
The app doesn't ask for any specific information whatsoever apart from your name. And that is the name that you give on the screen. So your screen name is the only personal information that you could claim that it uses.
Yeah, and that is only when, as you explained to me, the name that is given to you based on when you come into the meeting.
That's the participant list. That's what it's doing. Right. It's the only name it knows of you is the name that you've given that's listed on the participant list that everybody can see. There is no other personal information of any sort that it uses whatsoever. So there's no concern about security and restrictions, whatever. But he said in a threatening way, but what Zoom does with the information when certain people get kicked out of meetings on a regular basis is up to Zoom, not me. So if you think that it's fun to be kicked out of meetings, don't be surprised if Zoom isn't keeping an eye on those sort of stats and could in future do something. So you've been warned.
Yeah, absolutely. So John, tell us, what type of music are you into right now that you want us to listen to? Should I go with
jazz or jazz? Yeah, a jazz version.
Oh, all right. I've got a folk version.
Folk version.
A folk version. Wow. So we're going to do something a little different.
Do some of my country dancing.
No, we're not going to do the country version. I leave that. David uses the country version every start of the show. So I'm purposely staying away from the country version. So we'll actually do the folk version of our Zoom Test Kitchen.
Welcome to the Zoom Test Kitchen where the magic happens live. Every Friday we're on air, testing tech to thrive. From screen share to breakout rooms, we push Zoom to its max. So sit back, relax, and let's see what's in our tech hacks. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. We'll dive into the settings, explore every single tab. Make sure your mic is clear, your camera not a drab. We'll show you how to host like a pro, manage like a king. With Zoom Test Kitchen, you'll be zooming with a zing. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here Whether you're new to Zoom or an expert in disguise, we've got tips and tricks, we'll open up your eyes. From polls to quizzes, we test functionalities. Join us live, see what Zoom does with ease. So if your meetings lag or you can't share your screen, or if your audio echoes like you're stuck in between, we've got solutions, we'll show you how it's done. Zoom Test Kitchen, where Zoom fun has begun. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. So tune in, don't miss out on this tech fest we lead. Every Friday, Zoom Test Kitchen, where you'll succeed. We'll make your Zoom meeting smooth, keep the tech in check. In the Zoom Test Kitchen, we got your back, no red. These lyrics capture the essence of what the Zoom Test Kitchen does, focusing on testing and teaching about Zoom functionalities in a fun, engaging way.
All right. On that note, I hope everybody liked the folk version of the Zoom Test Kitchen theme song. Thanks everyone for joining us this week. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to let YouTube know how much you like our content. Let's see those likes go up. And don't forget, we're here every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. And have a good week, everyone. And see everyone next week for another edition of the Zoom Test Kitchen.